Zhao Xian watched Su Chen's back as he walked toward the black rift, and something suddenly dawned on him. Unbeknownst to him, his eyes turned red. He spun his head sharply and locked gazes with his three other teammates. All of them saw the same thing in one another's eyes: profound admiration. Su Chen, taking a deep breath, Zhao Xian called out loudly, "I get it. You're heading for the heart of the rift to hold back the Bone Dragon and buy the rest of us time to survive, aren't you?" A nearby warrior's face brimmed with gratitude. "Brother, words cannot repay this kindness. I'm no match for a level 30 abyss monster, but if you're going to risk your life, count me in. Death is nothing. I can at least take one hit for you." "I am coming too." The priest girl nodded firmly, tears glistening at the corners of her eyes. "My mana has regenerated somewhat. I can heal you." Su Chen's forward-striding footsteps froze mid-motion. He turned to look at the four impassioned young men and women. Wait, what on earth was going on here? Had they been reading too many overdramatic novels? Where did all these wild assumptions come from? By time for everyone, he did not even know these people. Enough. Su Chen raised a hand, the corners of his mouth twitching. "I have no intention of saving anyone," he explained. "I simply saw lots of monsters over there and want to go wipe them out. Do you understand?" Zhao Xian stared blankly for a moment, then smiled the kind of smile that said, "I get you, but I won't let you bear this alone. I understand. No need to say more. Suit yourselves. Follow if you want, just stay well back." Too worn out to argue further, Su Chen turned and walked away. He wanted them to keep their distance because he feared splash damage from his explosion staff. This was reality, not a game. There was no setting that negated friendly fire damage. His deadly poison could not be dispelled. Once it touched you, no power under heaven could save you. Still, bringing them along posed no real issue. More people meant a bigger target, which would draw in more monsters. That would spare him the trouble of running all over the map, hunting them down. "Quick, keep up." At Zhao Xian's command, the four trailed closely behind Su Chen. They had walked for less than a minute when, roar! 5 abyss flame sentinels in the air spotted them and charged forward with deafening howls. Zhao Xian instinctively raised his longsword, ready for combat. Su Chen tapped his staff lightly against the ground. More than 10 corrosion serpent guards materialized instantly. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. 5 streams of dark green venom shot up from beneath the earth, striking the 5 flame sentinels with pinpoint accuracy. The next instant, -11698078, -11690849, -11693620. Mid-air, the 5 flame sentinels melted straight into puddles of green liquid. Notice, defeated level 30 abyss flame sentinel times 5 by overlevel combat. Gained 30,000 points, 60,000 experience. Notice, activated trait Doom Drain. Current maximum stack count, 4222. Su Chen did not spare them a single glance and kept walking forward. Zhao Xian's sword-wielding hand hung frozen in midair. The other 3 wore equally stunned expressions. Wait a minute. Were these really corrupted abyss flame sentinels? They might as well have been stray dogs, casually swatted aside by Su Chen. Meanwhile, on the far side of the blasted desert, screams tore through the wind-blown sand. Scores of elite students from different cities fled across the wasteland like headless flies. Against the black fire battle axes of level 30 abyss flame sentinels, their frail bodies were as fragile as paper. "Help! My teleport scroll won't activate." One flame sentinel dove down, its black fire-wreathed axe whistling as it swung toward a mage who had fallen to the ground. The moment the axe was about to land, boom! The dark red clouds overhead were ripped apart by an overwhelmingly terrifying force. A dry yet powerfully veined palm reached out through the rift and clamped down directly over the level 30 elite flame sentinel's head. Crunch. No fancy skills, nothing but raw physical might. The flame sentinel's skull burst like a smashed watermelon. Black blood and flames splattered across the sand. Space warped the next second. An elderly man in an old-style robe with white hair and beard stepped out of the rift. It was Zhang Wuji, towering figure in Huagua's education circle and high-tier class changer. His usually genial face was now hard with icy killing intent. Magic surged around him so violently that the surrounding dunes trembled faintly. "All Huagua examinees, move toward the area of white light at once," he roared. BZZT. A blinding, pure white pillar of light descended from the sky. It expanded on the desert into a huge hemispherical shield 100 meters in radius, enveloping dozens of fleeing candidates nearby. Old John has come for us. We're saved." Trapped inside the light shield, the students clung to this last thread of hope, weeping with relief. Yet beads of sweat had broken out across Zhang Wuji's forehead. The abyss, no, and the demon race. He stared fixedly up at the black rift in the sky, his voice sharp with rage. How dare you run wild inside Huagua's college entrance examination instance? Do you truly think my blade has grown dull? Hee, an eerie, unsettling laugh echoed out of the black mist. The fog parted. A woman with an alluring figure, clad in dark red hardened battle leathers, stepped forward slowly. Her skin held an unhealthy pallor, and her eyes were unsettling vertical slits. It was Bai Ji, whom Su Chun had met before at the Tianhe City Professional Practitioners Guild. Or rather, she should now be known as Ji Bai. Zhang Wuji, quite the imposing presence you have, Ji Bai said, running her scarlet tongue over her lips, her gaze full of mockery. Surprised to see me? Zhang Wuji stared at her without speaking, the muscles at the corner of his eye twitching violently. Ji Bai, high-ranking demon commander, a master of disguise who had long carried out spy operations inside human nations. She was an extraordinarily dangerous foe. You never even realized your signature ability had been stolen. Humanity truly has declined from past generations, hasn't it? Ji Bai covered her mouth and laughed in derision. What did you say? Zhang Wuji's pupils constricted. His heart sank heavily. Everything clicked into place. He was hailed as the bedrock of Huagua's education world because of his SS rank hidden class, Void Realm Architect. His core power allowed him to construct fully independent virtual instances. These instances served many purposes. In combat, he could drag foes forcibly inside, trapping them in endless illusory killing fields until they perished with no means of escape. For training, he could conjure virtual monsters to temper young warriors' skills. Every year, Huagua's college entrance examination instance had been built entirely by his hand. He had never imagined the demon race would use some unknown method to silently steal his power. They had not only broken into his self-built instance, but also tampered with its code and locked it down, blocking all outward teleportation. The current situation amounted to two creators fighting for control over one instance. Two drivers wrestling for the same vehicle's wheel. The demons had swapped out the original training simulation monsters for genuine Abyss Legions. I must admit, the instance you built is intricately designed with flawless underlying logic. Within this virtual world, no creature, monster, or human can exceed level 30, Ji Bai said, her tone triumphant. But for these sheltered youths who have not even reached level 20, level 30 elite abyss monsters are more than enough to tear them to shreds. Zhang Wuji clenched his fists so hard his knuckles whitened. As the instance's original architect, he did possess a way out. The most straightforward solution was to shut everything down and destroy the virtual instance outright. The resulting planar collapse would annihilate every monster inside in an instant. He had used this very trick to slay countless powerful enemies in the past, and it never failed. But right now, if he forced the instance to collapse, the spatial turbulence it unleashed would kill every living being within without discrimination. Demons would die. Abyss monsters would die. But those hundreds of top-ranked students, Huagua's brightest hopes for the future, would perish alongside them. Anger and powerlessness shook Zhang Wuji's frame. A single phrase echoed in his mind. Fear of hurting the innocent keeps you from striking down the guilty. Moreover, the projection he could manifest inside this instance was limited to level 30. Endless abyss monsters could overwhelm him, and a high-ranking demon stood ready to strike. He could only watch as more and more flame sentinels gathered, preparing to assault his protective shield. Feel the despair, old man. Ji Bai's expression turned cruel. Now witness the slaughter. She lifted her hand and ordered the flame sentinels to launch their final assault. Instantly, hundreds of abyss flame sentinels dove downward, hacking savagely at the white barrier. Boom, boom, boom. Every axe blow sent the shield shuddering violently. Its radiance dimmed visibly before their eyes. Crack, a faint splitting sound rang out. A fissure spread across the shield's surface. Zhang Wuji's face turned ashen. Constrained to level 30 within this instance, his shield would not hold for much longer. He could swat down individual flame sentinels. Yet once the barrier shattered, those promising students below would be ground to paste by the abyss horde. And there was nothing he could do. Zhang Wuji closed his eyes in agony. All my life I have walked this path, thinking I stood above most. Yet carelessness allowed the demon's plot to unfold, and now so many of Huagua's talents will meet their end because of me. Just as the shield teetered on the brink of total collapse, PFFD, a faint attack landed against one flame sentinel's armor. The monster's axe-swinging motion froze abruptly. Strange green hues spread across its whole body. The next instant, its dark red armor, flesh and bone dissolved in an instant into a puddle of green pus that drifted down to the ground. The event happened so fast, every person present froze in shock. What had just happened? Everyone stared in utter disbelief. Flame Sentinels boasted formidable base stats that made them nigh invincible among student combatants. If Zhang Wuji had not struck, then who had killed it? This was only the beginning. Before anyone could process what they had seen, a faint burst of flame ignited where the dead monster had stood. Boom! Fire washed over 7 or 8 Flame Sentinels that were still hacking away at the shield. -12167461. -12170232. -12173003. A flood of damage numbers, each in the tens of millions, rolled across everyone's vision. Those 7 or 8 Flame Sentinels never even got the chance to turn around. Amid unsettling dissolving sounds, they melted uniformly into green slime. Chain explosions erupted right after. Poison spread through the densely packed monster horde like a plague. Within mere seconds, the hundreds of Abyss Flame Sentinels surrounding the light shield toppled one after another like falling dominoes, dissolving en masse. Across the desert, nothing remained except pools of green corrosive fluid, not even fragments of monster bone. Silence. Complete, dead silence. Inside the shield, students who had closed their eyes awaiting death opened them blankly, staring at the ground covered in green slime, their minds failing to function. Zhang Wuji's jaw hung open. Even he could scarcely believe the scene unfolding before him. Damage values in the tens of millions. He wondered if his aged eyes were deceiving him. Trapped under the instance's level 30 cap, not even a mage equipped with full myth rank gear could dish out such absurd numbers. Strikes this powerful would leave even his real body badly injured. A name surfaced in Zhang Wuji's thoughts. Could it be that boy Su Chun? As the architect of the college entrance examination instance, he had seen the combat logs from earlier exam phases. During the first assessment, Su Chun had dealt 10 million point blows against training dummies. He had even unleashed over 100 million damage in one burst, melting a deep frost crystal. When Song Yi first reported those results, Zhang Wuji had thought the messenger had lost his mind. But dummies were one thing. Living monsters were another. Corrupted Abyss monsters received massive stat boosts alongside harmful Abyss debuffs. Su Chen's damage output ought to have dropped sharply. Is it true damage? Seasoned from countless battles, a frightening hypothesis took shape in Zhang Wuji's mind. True damage was extraordinarily rare. For a level 20 mage to possess any source of true damage was remarkable enough. What defied all logic was the sheer magnitude of Su Chen's output. Tens of millions of true damage every second? That defied all common sense. It seems this young man's SSS rank class holds far greater potential than we imagined. Light glinted in Zhang Wuji's eyes, and he reached a swift decision. No matter what else happened, Su Chen's survival had to be guaranteed above all else. Meanwhile, further up in the sky, new swarms of flame sentinels poured forth from the rift. Such was the nature of Abyss forces, endless, near inexhaustible reinforcements. Yet the confident smile on Ji Bai's face faded. Her vertical pupils locked onto the pools of green slime below, filled with deep wariness. Did a powerful human warrior find a way in to intervene? But Zhang Wuji's instance barrier should bar outside intruders. Doubt not at her. Zhang Wuji was a seasoned legend, who knew what hidden cards he still held. She even began preparing to retreat. At that moment, a cold voice drifted out of the black mist. Pull back. Make all flame sentinels spread out, and keep their distance. That poison cannot propagate on its own. It only spreads through splash explosions triggered by kills. As the command was spoken, the flame sentinels retreated rapidly, putting large gaps between each individual unit. A shadowy figure wrapped in tattered black robes, its features entirely hidden, descended slowly out of the rift. Rift Shadow. Zhang Wuji's expression darkened. That explained how the Abyss had been linked into his instance. It was the Rift Shadow. The Abyss were neither puppets nor allies of the demon race. They represented disaster, annihilation, ruin, and attacked every intelligent living being on Blue Planet without bias. News of demon cities overrun and devoured by the Abyss was common knowledge. Among all demonkind, few understood the Abyss well enough to temporarily bend its creatures to their will. The Rift Shadow was one of those rare few. His research into Abyss power ran deep. Human databases listed him among the most dangerous threats alive. Even in direct combat against his true body, Zhang Wuji could not guarantee victory. The Rift Shadow. I remember the catastrophe in Donghai City 10 years ago. A metropolis of millions turned into a dead zone. My father died fighting there. We are going to die here today. Panic rippled through the student ranks. The Rift Shadow's reputation was terrifying. Faced with two mighty demon leaders and endless abyss troops, their situation appeared hopeless. The Rift Shadow paid no mind to Zhang Wuji or the terrified students. His eyes, burning with 2 points of eerie ghost light, fixed straight on several figures standing atop a distant dune. Su Chun and Zhao Xian's group had finally arrived on the scene. It has been a long time, boy. The Rift Shadow spoke in an icy tone, barely containing his rage. This was the youth who had slain him and looted his legendary rank artifact, the Codex of Soul Thievery. It was the foundation of his power. Every day since its loss had felt like a knife twisting in his chest. Jibai followed his line of sight and giggled. I wondered who it could be. If it isn't Su Chun, it has been quite some time. In the distance, Su Chun halted his steps and looked upward at the two demons who knew his name. He was well acquainted with the Rift Shadow. Back inside the Abyss instance, Su Chin's poisons had pushed him to his breaking point, and he had generously dropped that legendary rank artifact. The striking female demon was also no stranger. Bai Ji, whom he had met multiple times at the Tianhe City Professional Practitioners Guild headquarters. Bai Ji, Jibai, you have been plotting all along, haven't you? Su Chin mused to himself. These demons were exceptionally skilled at hiding their true intentions. Even after their multiple encounters, he had not detected the slightest hint of deception. This world was far more perilous than he had realized. He would need to exercise far greater caution moving forward. Yes. And we owe you our gratitude for part of it, Jibai purred. We would never have pinpointed this instance's coordinates so easily. I planted subtle tracking markers within those 23 skill stones. That is what allowed us to breach this place. Su Chen's heart sank. He asked, is President Zhang Zhe also one of the demon folk? Not really. He's merely a merchant. That's a relief. Why? Do you care about him? No. I'm afraid he'll pocket the gear I consigned for sale. Jibai's mouth twitched violently. Really? In such a tense standoff, you're worried about your lousy equipment? Enough. Stop wasting words on this boy. The Rift Shadow Demon cut their conversation short. Why bother talking so much to him? Remember to act decisively. Many have died because they talk too much. You're every bit as cautious as always. Jibai let out a light laugh, unconcerned. A cat that catches a mouse always toys with it a little, doesn't it? Wu Jizhan snorted. Young Su Chun, do not fear. I shall keep you safe today. Can you even do that? The Rift Shadow Demon sneered. His gaze locked firmly onto Su Chun. Boy, hand over that item, and I shall spare your life. You know what I am asking for. What item? Su Chun wore a blank look. If you don't tell me, how am I supposed to know? The Rift Shadow Demon flew into a rage. Damn it. This boy clearly realized he dared not reveal the existence of the secret tome of Soul Thief publicly. The Rift Shadow Demon spoke in a grim tone. Humph, I see you will not yield until disaster strikes. If I kill you, I can still take it back. Your poison damage ticks once each second and can only be applied through attacks. The poison cannot spread on its own, relying solely on the explosion modifier of your staff. Yet your explosion range is only 2 meters. Furthermore, your skill to summon serpent guards has a 30-second cooldown. That hound you summon breathes fire, but its range is merely 50 meters. Lastly, you possess petrification and phantom-creating defensive skills. Am I wrong? Su Chin kept a calm expression, yet his heart sank slightly. Truly a veteran demon-folk powerhouse. Utterly troublesome. Back in the Abyss dungeon, this foe had hidden in the shadows, observing and learning all of his skills before striking to ensure absolute victory. He must have been watching from concealment for a long time today as well. A tremendously dangerous enemy indeed. Even so, the ruthless and decisive Rift Shadow Demon had rambled on at length. Part of it was to shatter Su Chen's confidence. The other reason was to speak intentionally for the surrounding students to hear. Even if Wu Jizhan managed to protect them today, Su Chen's abilities would become common knowledge. Now the Rift Shadow Demon had achieved his goal. He waved a hand. Thousands of flame demon guards in the sky kept a 2-meter spacing as they advanced slowly towards Su Chun. Roar! At the same time, the Abyss Bone Dragon circling overhead beat its massive bony wings, preparing to launch an assault on Su Chun. Boy, I know all your tricks. Surrender without resistance. Oh really? Su Chun smiled. You think you know everything about me? Then witness my true trump card. He slowly raised the staff in his hand. Dark black and violet energy surged atop the staff's tip. He shouted in a low voice, Abyss Rift. At Su Chen's shout, space in the sky twisted faintly. Amid the army of flame demon guards surging like a black tide, a 20-meter-long black fissure tore open out of nowhere. Ominous black light seeped from the rift, drawing everything nearby like a miniature black hole. The rift was positioned with uncanny precision. It ensnared dozens of flame demon guards, and even subjected the two demon folk hovering midair to its faint gravitational pull. But the instant the rift appeared, the rift shadow demon, standing beside Jibai's, eyes widened in shock. Without a single word, his body dissolved into swirling black mist. In a flash, he reappeared several thousand meters back. The next moment, -1,219, -1,108, -1,204. Four-digit damage values popped up one after another. Jibai stumbled from the faint suction. She steadied herself, glanced at the tiny two-digit damage floating above her head, then looked toward the distant rift shadow demon who had fled out of sight, and burst into dry laughter. Jibai laughed uncontrollably. I thought this boy was unleashing some world-shattering ultimate skill. It is merely a skill from Abyss Set Gear. I have seen many such skills, dear sister. Abyss Rift, a set bonus skill granted by equipping 2 pieces of certain Abyss tier gear. Having infiltrated the professionals' chamber of commerce for years, she knew it well. On paper, the ability looked formidable. Each kill allowed it to spread endlessly. It had obvious flaws, however. Abyss Rift itself dealt mediocre damage. It was only effective against weak foes. Even with Su Chen's 2771 spirit stat, penalized by Abyss debuffs, he could only deal just over 1,000 damage. Can't even kill flame demon guards. How embarrassing to bring out such a trick. She glanced at the rift shadow demon far away and chuckled. You have truly lost your edge with age. Fleeing in terror from such a worthless skill. You bring shame upon us demon folk. Her words died abruptly in her throat. Upon contact with the Abyss Rift, a faint dark green sheen had coated her skin without her noticing. A new debuff labeled Deadly Poison had appeared in her status bar. The next second, -121868858, -121899629, -121-92400. Damage values exceeding 10 million burst forth above the flame demon guards without warning. No struggle. Dozens of flame demon guards melted into steaming pools of green pus in the blink of an eye. Meanwhile, high in the air, a shrill scream tore from Jibai's lips. -121-95171. A gigantic 8-digit crimson damage number drifted up above her head. Her body hunched sharply. Agony overwhelmed her, robbing her of all reason. What is this? Jibai shrieked hysterically. Su Chen was somewhat surprised. 10 million damage, and she was still alive. Jibai truly was a high-ranking demon folk, reacting swiftly. She fished a golden glowing potion out of her inventory, pulled the cork free, and tilted her head back to chug it frantically. Glug glug glug. Golden light flickered across her frame. Yet the dark green toxic sheen clung stubbornly to her skin. Like a curse it would not fade. Why will it not dispel? Jibai panicked completely. This is an epic grade, cleansing potion. Why does it have no effect? Hearing this, Su Chen smiled. A cleansing potion? Too bad. His poison could not be dispelled. Not even mythic rank potions would work. Jibai spun around sharply, glaring furiously at the distant Rift Shadow Demon thousands of meters away. Rift Shadow Demon. You knew this would happen, didn't you? Why did you run without warning me? Far away, the Rift Shadow Demon said nothing. He stared in horror at the dozens of steaming green pools below. Damn it. I barely escaped being poisoned myself. There was no time to warn you. He had already experienced the torment of Su Chen's poison once. He had no wish to suffer it a second time. Jibai's shouts were soon drowned out by deafening sounds of space tearing apart. Crack. Where the flame demon guards had dissolved into pus, the single original Abyss Rift began to split apart. Dozens of brand-new 20-meter-long black fissures ripped open across the sky. That was the true terror of Abyss Rift. Much like the explosion modifier on the staff, every death triggered further spreading and stacking. The only difference, Abyss Rift covered a far greater 20-meter radius. More horrifying damage values surged forth. -12278-301. -12281-072. -12283-843. Hundreds of flame demon guards melted instantly. Then came another wave of fissure multiplication. 100 fissures, 1,000 fissures. In less than 5 seconds, Abyss Rift multiplied 5 times over. Boom, 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 boom. The whole sky turned eerily black. Thousands of 20-meter-long Abyss Rifts wove together into a vast black web across the Gobi Desert. Black-purple light bathed everything below. Green pus fell like rain, splattering across the sand with crackling hisses. In an instant, the Gobi was stained a sickly dark green. System notice: Abyss monsters are pouring out of the abyss rifts. They will attack all living things regardless of faction. A warning system prompt popped up suddenly. Several horned monsters clutching strange totems emerged from the fissures. Before Su Chun could even cast Inspect, they shriveled into pools of green pus in shock. Faced with his poison ticking for more than 10 million damage each second, flame demon guards and creatures pouring from the abyss alike perished on contact. One single skill. Total battlefield wipe. The once mighty abyss invasion force had vanished without a trace. Nothing remained in the sky save crisscrossing black rifts and countless steaming pools of toxic green fluid. System notice. Killed 2450 LV.30 Abyss Flame Demon Guards by level gap. Gain points. 147000000. Gained EXP. 294000000. System notice. Killed 120 LV.30 Abyss Demon Generals by level gap. Gain points. 720000. Gained EXP. 1440000. System notice. Trait Doom Harvest triggered. Current maximum poison stat count. 6912. Watching the rapidly scrolling system notifications, Su Chin's lips curved upward. Excellent. This fight granted massive points and EXP, plus more than 2,500 poison stacks. This was true monster farming, and it was far from over. Each abyss rift persisted for 5 seconds, and more flame demon guards kept pouring forth nonstop. Wow, this is practically an infinite farm. Su Chin's eyes lit up as notifications continued pouring in. So this is the abyss invasion? Bring more enemies. Inside the protective barrier, complete silence reigned. The students stood frozen in place. They stared upward with blank expressions at the sprawling black-purple rift web overhead and the falling green toxic ring. What just happened? Did he kill every monster? With one skill. Those 10 million plus damage numbers came from him. My old man plays a poison-using third-turn assassin. His damage ticks are only a few hundred, and he struggles to get into dungeons. Are you telling me his ticks hit over 10 million? I have to know what his stats look like. The students erupted into uproar. None could have imagined Su Chun wiping out thousands of flame demon guards with one single ability. They had marveled at his exam results before, yet inwardly remained unconvinced. After all, every one of them considered themselves a genius. Now, watching Su Chun slaughter wave after wave spawning straight out of the abyss portal, every one of them twitched. Was he even human? How could the gap between fellow students be this enormous? Wu Jizhan still kept both hands pressed against the protective barrier. This seasoned and respected educator's eyes were wide, his lips trembling faintly. Throughout his long life, he had taken part in countless abyss campaign battles and met innumerable mages, including many world-renowned archmages. Yet he swore he had never seen a level 20 mage deal 10 million point damage while suffering abyss debuffs. Nor had he ever witnessed anyone wipe out more than 2,000 high-tier abyss monsters in 5 seconds flat. After the initial shock, Wu Jizhan's sharp battle mind began analyzing rapidly. The Rift Shadow Demon was correct. Su Chin must land attacks to apply his poison. That 10 million point damage is his damage over time effect. Each tick differs in value. Wait, damage increases by fixed increments following each kill, like an arithmetic sequence. Could it be he grows stronger with every foe slain? Within mere seconds, Wu Jizhan had pieced together most of Su Chin's class traits. Upon reaching that conclusion, he drew in a sharp breath. A class that grows stronger by killing enemies? Unheard of. That represents unlimited growth potential. This young man's class is far more formidable than anyone guessed. Far off in midair, Jibai was nowhere to be seen. She had evidently fled. The Rift Shadow Demon stared at the Gobi, almost entirely stained green, his jaw twitching nonstop. More than 2,000 abyss monsters. Dead in 5 seconds. Not a scrap left behind. How many trump cards does this boy still hold? The Rift Shadow Demon muttered to himself. He had thought he understood every trick Su Chin possessed. He never expected such a devastating hidden ability. He took a deep breath and turned his gaze toward the altar, where a colossal 6-skulled abyss bone dragon loomed. It was the trump card he had gone to great lengths to bring for this operation. A level 30 epic tier boss empowered by abyss energy. Let me see what other tricks you have. An abyss-corrupted epic boss cannot be felled by 10 million point damage alone. The Rift Shadow Demon issued his command. This epic boss possessed far greater health than ordinary flame demon guards. Su Chun dealt high damage, yet he remained a fragile mage. A single hit would kill him. Still, he knew Su Chun retained petrification and phantom defensive skills. Neither ability had a short cooldown. Forcing Su Chun to expend even one of them would be a huge gain for the upcoming fight. Roar! The bone dragon's 6 heads let loose an earth-shaking roar. Its massive bony wings beat, stirring swirling black sandstorms. It opened its gaping maw, gathering a densely compressed azure dragon breath. Overwhelming pressure washed across the entire Gobi Desert. Look out! The epic boss is diving down. Help! That is an epic boss. Panic spread among the students. Epic tier bosses were beyond ordinary people's ability to fight. Normally hundreds, even thousands of fighters were required to wear one down. Historical records told of entire military units wiped out by epic bosses. And this dragon had been augmented by abyss corruption. Wu Zhizhan watched the diving bone dragon calmly, slowly lifting one hand away from the barrier he had sustained. They truly underestimate me. He let out a bitter laugh. Did they think he could be ignored? He had maintained the barrier earlier purely out of caution, focused on shielding the students. Now Ji Bai was driven off, and flame demon guards died the instant they spawned from the portal. He was free to intervene. A single epic boss held no threat for him. Just as he prepared to strike, Su Chen sighed softly. Since you are so eager to drop loot for me, I will not decline. He landed one basic attack upon the bone dragon. -14. A pitiful 2-digit value popped up. To an epic boss, it was barely even a scratch. Right after, he slowly raised his right hand toward the enormous bone dragon in the sky and clenched his grip in empty air. 10,000 poisons annihilation. The instant the skill activated, the colossal abyss bone dragon froze mid-flight. The dragon breath it had been about to unleash fizzled out completely. Then, a surging wave of deep dark, green light exploded outward. 19153152. A gigantic damage value of nearly 200 million floated slowly above the bone dragon's head. Crack! Without even time to let out a wail, the massive epic, tier dragon's skeleton shattered mid-air, dissolving into showers of green pus drifting down onto the Gobi Desert. System notice. Killed LV.30 epic boss, Abyss Bone Dragon, by level gap. Gain points. 100000000. Gained EXP. 600000000. System notice. Trait Doom Harvest triggered. Current maximum poison stack count. 6913. Su Chen loosened his clenched right hand. Fantastic. A single epic boss granted 60 million EXP. Just how many levels would that push me up? He knew leveling became far more difficult past level 20. Ordinary people could spend months, even years, to gain one level. Combined with his prior EXP, he should rise multiple levels in one go. High in the sky, the Rift Shadow Demon stared at the falling pus, utterly dumbfounded. Where had his huge epic boss gone? Within the light shield, silence descended once more. Only heavy gasps and the howl of wind-driven sand remained. Every student's eyes were wide fixed on the rotting fluid drifting down outside the shield. A level 30 epic rank boss. An abyssal, corrupted skeleton dragon. Just like that, it was gone. Gulp. Someone swallowed hard, shattering the suffocating hush. I'm not seeing things, am I? That bone dragon just exploded? He only clenched his hand. What kind of class even is this? He wiped out thousands of level 30 abyssal monsters with one move. Then one shot an epic boss. Is he seriously in the same freshman intake as us? The students erupted into commotion. They stared at Su Chen, no longer viewing him as a classmate, but as some sort of freak. Zhang Wuji saw clearly what had transpired. That was the burst skill he used in the first exam. Light flickered in his eyes. He had assumed such a devastating burst skill would have an extremely long cooldown. In this world, powerful skills often had cooldowns lasting days, or even months. Evidently, he had underestimated Su Chen yet again. At that moment, the priest girl from Zhao Xian's team asked in a trembling voice, Senior Zhang, what exactly are those black rifts out there? How can they clear enemies with such terrifying power? Chris, crossing black rifts hung in the sky beyond the shield, still emanating a faint pulling force. The students leaned in, eager to hear the answer. They too burned with curiosity about this horrifying ability. Zhang Wuji kept one hand pressed against the light shield. Several seconds passed before he let out a long breath. That is no ordinary skill. His voice was dry as he gazed at the rifts, deep awe flashing across his face. It is a trait-bound skill from Abyssal Gear, Abyssal Rift. Only extremely rare sets dropped in Abyssal dungeons can come with this special trait. What makes it unique is that every monster slain by it causes the rifts to keep splitting. Theoretically, given enough foes, they can spread endlessly. At his explanation, the students drew a collective sharp breath. A skill that could spread without limit? That was utterly overpowered. Zhang Wuji's inner shock dwarfed that of the students 100-fold. He knew of Abyssal Rift and its critical flaw. Its base damage was low. Under normal circumstances, for a freshman with typical spirit stats, after magic damage was reduced to 10%, Abyssal Rift would only deal a few dozen damage at most. It could never kill level 30 abyssal creatures, let alone trigger its splitting mechanic. Yet Suqian had pulled it off. Boy, let me see just how far you can go. Anticipation glinted in Zhang Wuji's eyes. What other surprises did this young man hold? High in the air, the faint glow beneath the rift shadow's mask flickered violently. What kind of skill was that? One shot to obliterate a level 30 epic boss. The damage must have topped over 100 million. What was its mechanic? What was its cooldown? Could he cast it again? His mind raced as he assessed the ongoing battle. What chilled him most was that Suqian had not even winded himself through all of this. Just how many tricks did he have hidden up his sleeve? For the first time, genuine fear stirred within Rift Shadow. No choice. I have to fight. I must get the soul steel tome back. Rift Shadow ground his teeth. The odds were stacked against him. Suqian was bafflingly formidable, and Zhang Wuji loomed as a threat. Ordinarily, he would have fled without hesitation. But the soul steel tome was far too valuable to abandon. Sporadic abyssal fiend guards still tumbled out of the remaining abyssal portal overhead. Before they could even register their surroundings, they touched the abyssal rifts, dissolved into green putrid fluid, and fed Suqian streams of experience points. The fiend guards are useless now. They are nothing but free experience for that boy. Rift Shadow waved his hand and sealed the abyssal portal. The portal closed. A few seconds later, deprived of new kills to feed it, Suqian's abyssal rifts faded away, and the sky returned to its original crimson hue. Rift Shadow hovered high above, staring down at Suqian. Black mist swirled and expanded wildly around his body. Boy, I dismissed you as a child, and that was my folly. I admit you are strong, a worthy opponent. His voice turned icy. But your performance ends here. Buzz. A shrill hum rang out, and space around Rift Shadow warped violently. 1, 2, 3, identical black phantoms split off from his body. In the blink of an eye, 30 Rift Shadows filled the sky. Each exuded the dreadful aura of a mighty demon. 30 pairs of cold eyes locked firmly onto Suqian inside the light shield. Hiss. Gasps echoed inside the barrier. 30 clones. Exact copies. Every single one feels powerful. I cannot tell which is the real body. What skill is this? Demon abilities are so bizarre. The spark of hope in the students' hearts died instantly, plunging them into despair. Boy, watch out. Zhang Wuji dropped his passive stance, his tone deadly serious. That is Rift Shadow's signature technique, Shadow Clone. He can summon clones equal to his level cap. Trapped at level 30 by the dungeon, he can summon 30 of them. These are no illusions. Each clone possesses 100% of the original's power and skills. They last for 30 minutes, matching his current level cap. Silence fell over the light shield once the words sank in. 30 powerful demons, each at full strength. How can anyone fight this? Even Senior Zhang could not take on 30 foes of equal power at once. We are doomed. Truly doomed this time. Despair spread among the students. Suqian raised an eyebrow at Zhang Wuji's description. What an incredible skill. These were not disposable decoys meant only to draw aggro. They truly wielded every bit of their creator's might. Worse still, each clone apparently had independent access to all his abilities. If his base level is above 140, he could spawn over 140 clones normally. I wish Han were here. Unfortunately, the soul steel tome is on cooldown. Suqian sighed. Such an amazing skill, and it was not his. What a pity. He lifted his gaze toward the 30 uniform black-robed figures hanging in the sky. Then he glanced at his status panel, where deadly poison had stacked to 6,913 layers. A smirk tugged at his lips. You like outnumbering your opponent, huh? Suqian smiled faintly and tapped the ground with his burst staff. Corrosive serpent sentinels. Boom. The entire wilds in Gobi shook violently. The tremor was bone rattling. The ground cracked open across nearly a kilometer of wasteland. Bang, bang, bang. 5,000 thick serpent sentinels burst upward from beneath the earth like jagged thorns. They packed every field of vision, dense and unbroken. From above, they resembled a horrifying dark, green steel jungle sprouting across the desert. Inside the light shield, the air turned heavy. What is this? One boy's legs gave way, and he collapsed onto the ground. The other students fared no better, stunned speechless, covered in goosebumps. Thousands of fiend guards had already been terrifying. Now there were 5,000 of these serpent sentinels. Each stood over 3 meters tall, as thick as a human torso, delivering a far more terrifying visual shock. He is a mage. How can he summon creatures like these? Zhao Xian swallowed hard, struggling to process what he was seeing. Zhang Wuji's hand tightened sharply against the light shield. He stared out at the endless forest of serpents, the corners of his eyes twitching. He had seen Su Chen summon serpent sentinels before. During the second exam, Su Chen had used them to block doorways and slaughter monsters. But 5,000? Even Hua's top summoners could barely match that number. Zhang Wuji drew a deep breath, his gaze toward Su Chen growing more perplexed. The serpent's individual stats are not high, but their sheer numbers grant great tactical utility. They can restrict movement, block vision, and intercept incoming attacks. A thought struck him. This boy applies poison with every strike. Could these summons also apply it? He drew in a sharp breath. He had always taken Su Chen for a fragile glass, cannon mage. If his suspicion held true, Su Chen's class was far more well-rounded than he had imagined. High in the sky, Rift Shadow froze mid, planned to send his 30 clones to kill Su Chen. The glow behind his mask burned as he stared down at the serpent jungle, his mind reeling. He knew these serpent sentinels well. He had fought them only days ago in the Abyssal Dungeon. Su Chen had even used them to block one of his attacks. Rift Shadow had scoffed at them then, ignored their strikes, and ended up poisoned, his defenses broken. But this was impossible. Back then, Su Chen had summoned only a few hundred thin, fragile serpents barely over a meter tall, easily wiped out by area of effect magic. Now these were 3-meter giants as thick as human torsos, and their numbers had multiplied many-fold. Can this boy's skills keep growing without bound? Unspeakable dread washed over Rift Shadow. The serpent sentinels gave him no time to dwell on the thought. Hiss. 5,000 serpent heads let out a unified, piercing hiss. Minus 2016. Minus 1986. Minus 2004. Countless globules of green venom arced upward like an inverted rainstorm, barraging the 30 airborne clones. So many projectiles poured forth that every clone was struck by hundreds upon hundreds of venom shots. Rift Shadow's figures rocketed upward to escape, yet 5 clones were still hit. 191-55923. 191-55923. 191-55923. Massive damage numbers popped up. The 5 caught clones screeched in agony. It hurts terribly. This brat's poison cannot be dispelled. Deploy shields quickly. Shields won't help. We are capped at level 30. No shield can stand against 20 million point damage. The clones cried out in pain. Witnesses fell silent. These clones even shouted insults toward their own main body. The poison clones activated survival, great abilities, yet nothing worked. Seconds later, they dissolved into black smoke and perished. 25 Rift Shadows remained, having retreated to safety high aloft. Target the source. Rift Shadow quickly reassessed the situation, his eyes blazing with malice, locking onto Su Chen's previous position. Kill Su Chen, and all summons would vanish. Die. Crimson light coalesced in his palm as he readied a lethal single-target ability. But when he looked down, the spot stood empty. Su Chen was gone. Where is he? Rift Shadow's awareness swept frantically across the area inside and outside the shield. No trace of breath, no magic fluctuations, not even a footprint. It was as if Su Chen had vanished out of thin air. Inside the light shield, the students stared in shock. They had watched Su Chen stand there, and in the next instant, he was nowhere to be seen. Is that an assassin's stealth? But he is supposed to be a mage. This is no ordinary stealth. No assassin ability grants such perfect concealment. He can turn invisible too? The students could barely believe their eyes. Mage spells, summoning magic, and now assassin, style invisibility? Meanwhile, under the effect of light of concealment, Su Chen leaned against the inner edge of the light shield and drank a blue mana potion given to him by Zhang Ze. Light of concealment only broke when attacking or casting spells. Drinking potions while hidden made zero noise. Cool liquid flowed down his throat, and his mana slowly regenerated. At 2,771 spirit, summoning 5,000 serpent sentinels pushes me to my absolute limit. Su Chen glanced at his nearly empty mana bar and shook his head with a bitter smile. His spirit stat was still insufficient. Even with 6,913 poison stacks, he could not sustain such massive swarms for long. Still, 5,000 would suffice. You like outnumbering your foes. 5,000 against 30. The advantage is mine. Up in the sky, Rift Shadow lost his composure entirely. What an infuriating class. He trembled with rage, his voice echoing across the desert. This boy was utterly exasperating. He flooded the battlefield with summons, then vanished into stealth behind them. Worse still, his summons were dangerous to touch. One hit, and you were poisoned. And the poison's tick damage had climbed from several million to nearly 20 million in just a few days. Even his clones could not survive it. If you will not show yourself, I will destroy every last one of these serpents. Rift Shadow gritted his teeth. As an experienced demon warrior, he calmed quickly and re-evaluated the fight. He sent one clone diving down toward the serpent horde. After drawing fire, the clone darted back into the sky. Several such test runs told him what he needed to know. 15 meters. These serpents have grown stronger, yet their attack range stays the same. His personal range is somewhat longer, yet no more than 20 meters. Stay outside that range, and they cannot touch us. Realization flashed in Rift Shadow's eyes. The serpent sentinels could only strike up to 15 meters. Beyond that distance, they became immobile targets. Suchin himself could only reach roughly 20 meters. Everyone, rise above 20 meters. Unleash area of effect spells to wipe them out. At his command, the 24 remaining clones climbed to hover 20+ meters above the ground. Venom orbs from the serpents lost momentum and dissolved into harmless green mist 5 meters beneath their feet. Boom. The 25 Rift Shadows raised their hands and unleashed their spells. Black meteor showers, abyssal hellfire, corrosive acid sprays, countless devastating area of effect abilities rained down onto the serpent jungle. Rift Shadow had stolen countless skills over the years, and his arsenal was vast. Every clone wielded his full offensive power. The desert shook. Under the relentless bombardment, the 3-meter serpent sentinels shattered by the hundreds. 100 gone, 500, 1,000. In less than 2 minutes, most of the 5,000-strong serpent horde lay destroyed, with only a few hundred stragglers remaining. They are almost wiped out. That demon is clever. He figured out their maximum attack range. He just unleashed 20 different area of effect spells. The students watched in awe, witnessing a clash of titans. Rift Shadow looked down at the thinning serpents, a bitter weight lifting from him. No matter how many summons you command, raw power and range superiority render them meaningless. He sneered. Once the last serpents fell, he would deploy wide-ranging, indiscriminate attacks to flush the hidden Suchin out into the open. The moment the last few hundred snake guards were smashed into rubble by the hellfire, a faint snap echoed through the air. Right after that, the young voice that had driven the Rift Shadow demon to near-boiling rage resounded leisurely inside the light barrier. Nice fight, but my cooldown's back up. Suchin's figure materialized inside the light barrier, and he tapped the ground once more with his staff. Buzz. The Gobi Desert trembled violently again. Boom, boom, boom. Beneath the Rift Shadow demon's abruptly constricting pupils, 5,000 3-meter-tall, waist-thick dark green snake guards burst forth once more from the recently cleared ground, as if copied and pasted. Identical build, identical numbers, identically filling the entire Gobi expanse. Dense snake heads swiveled to aim once again at the floating avatar high above. Up in the air, the Rift Shadow demon froze mid-spell, caught motionless in the wind. Inside the light barrier, the students stared numbly at this familiar scene. Wu Zhanji glanced at Su Chun, who had appeared beside him, the corners of his mouth twitching repeatedly. Fierce glows flickered wildly beneath the Rift Shadow demon's mask. Then a distorted roar burst forth. You damned brat. Have you no shame? Inside the light barrier, Su Chun ignored the Rift Shadow demon's futile outburst high above. He turned toward Wu Zhanji and asked bluntly, Old Wu, how do we lift this dungeon's lockdown? Do we have to kill him? Wu Zhanji's mouth twitched again. Kill him? This was the Rift Shadow demon, one of the most cunning beings among the demon kind. Even though he was only level 30 right now, killing him would still be extremely difficult. He stole my abilities and altered the dungeon's mechanics. As long as the Rift Shadow demon remains within the dungeon bounds, the teleportation gate cannot activate. Once he leaves this area, I can fully retake control of the dungeon, open the spatial passage, and get all of you out of here. Wu Zhanji paused for a moment and asked, He's 20 meters up in the air. Your summoned creatures only have a 15-meter range, and your own attack range is 20 meters. As for the hound-headed flamethrower at your waist, its fire travels too slowly to reliably hit him. What is your plan? There was a note of assessment in his tone. He was eager to see what other tricks Suchin had up his sleeve. Suchin smiled and chugged a mana potion. Instead of answering directly, he lowered his voice and asked, Old Wu, can you tell which one is his real body? Oh, Wu Zhanji blinked in surprise. What was this youngster planning? The fourth one counting from the right. Understood, old Wu. Watch my next move. For a moment, the whole Gobi Desert fell quiet. The Rift Shadow Demon's expression shifted constantly as his gaze locked tightly onto Su Chun inside the light barrier. He did not dare strike recklessly again. He could wipe out these snake guards once more, yet he knew Su Chin's snake guard cooldown was 30 seconds. What if he summoned them all again after 30 seconds? Even ignoring the mana cost, how was he supposed to attack Su Chun hiding safely behind the barrier? This was utterly infuriating. Spamming summons, and then hiding safely inside the barrier. Was he? Wait, this brat is drinking mana potions. He cannot sustain such a massive horde indefinitely. Faint lights flickered beneath the Rift Shadow Demon's mask as a cold smirk tugged at his features. Your mana pool will run dry eventually. How many times can you keep summoning? When your mana is exhausted, I will crush you into pulp bit by bit. As his words fell, his real body and 24 avatars spread out across the sky, completely encircling the light barrier and the snake guards below. Multicolored area of effect spells began gathering in their hands once again. Boom, boom, boom. Spectacular spells rained down without restraint. Wave after wave of snake guards were blown to fragments. 2 minutes later, only a few hundred snake guards remained. Snap! Su Chun tapped the ground once more, and 5,000 snake guards materialized anew. Yet the Rift Shadow Demon refused to give up. He seemed to have worked out Su Chin's pattern and patiently bombarded the snake guards with area of effect magic. And so, the two sides became locked in a war of attrition. Whenever the snake guards neared annihilation, Su Chin summoned them all over again. In barely 10 minutes, 5 full cycles of this tug-of-war had played out. Just as the Rift Shadow Demon was methodically wiping out the 6th wave of snake guards, everything suddenly changed. Thud! A dull detonation echoed from the Gobi outside the light barrier. Somehow, Su Chun had appeared off the rear flank of the Rift Shadow Demon's real body. His body shot skyward like an artillery shell. Powerful physical recoil exploded from the ground, blasting a deep crater into the Gobi sand. 10 meters. 15 meters. Beneath the horrified stares of every student, a frail mage leaped 15 meters straight upward, stopping 5 meters beneath the Rift Shadow Demon. This was the charge skill granted by the Bloodlust Boarhide leggings. The charge had no directional restrictions, and Su Chun had aimed it straight up into the air. What? The glimmer beneath the Rift Shadow Demon's mask shrank sharply. He had never anticipated Su Chun possessing a gap-closing ability. His gaze snapped toward the interior of the light barrier. Inside the barrier, a figure identical to Su Chun still stood motionless there. This is an illusion created by that ring he wears. Alarm surged through the Rift Shadow Demon's mind. Su Chun had used the Shadow Dancer ring to leave behind a decoy, creating the false impression he had stayed inside the barrier the whole time, lulling his opponent into complacency before sneaking invisibly beneath and behind his real body. He deliberately burned through mana summoning snake guards to buy time for his invisibility cooldown. The Rift Shadow Demon's mind raced as he instantly pieced together the situation. In the blink of an eye, he ordered his avatars to attack Su Chun while preparing to cast Blink himself. But Su Chun was faster. In an instant, Su Chun raised his right hand. Perched upon his palm were 3 hound heads. Little guys, breathe fire. Su Chun shouted sharply. Blazing crimson light erupted from the hound's maws. The next moment, roar! An ear-splitting canine howl tore through the sky. Immediately after, boom! A 50-meter wall of searing fire swept forward, engulfing more than 10 avatars hovering in midair. And among them was the Rift Shadow Demon's true body. -45, -32, -41. Several trivial damage values floated upward. That did not matter in the slightest. What mattered was that upon contact with the crimson flames, their bodies were immediately coated in a dark green taint. Seeing this sight, Su Chun activated the Stony Golem necklace without hesitation. His body turned pale gray and stony, and he plummeted straight toward the ground. At that exact moment, the Rift Shadow Demon and his avatars unleashed their attacks. Smack! 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 Multiple blood-red spells slammed against Su Chun. -5, -4, -7. A handful of negligible damage numbers popped up. While petrified, Su Chun's health bar barely moved. You insolent brat! The Rift Shadow Demon roared in rage. This kid was absolutely shameless. Unload your full combo, and then pop a defensive survival skill right afterward. Yet, the debuff timer was already ticking. A faint dark green aura had spread across his entire body. Aha! A blood-curdling scream tore across the skies above the Gobi. -19155923. A terrifying damage number burst above his head. Nearly 20 million true damage. Agony racked the Rift Shadow Demon, severing his control over all his avatars. Poof, 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 poof. The 24 avatars dissolved into wisps of black smoke the instant their magical supply was cut off. Thud. Su Qin's stony form crashed heavily onto the ground, carving yet another crater into the Gobi Desert. High in the sky, the Rift Shadow Demon curled up in agony. Thick black mist surged across his skin, forming an obsidian defensive shield. It accomplished nothing. -19153152. Another massive damage value appeared. Damned human. Damned brat. The Rift Shadow Demon completely lost his composure. He stared down at Su Chen with burning hatred shining beneath his mask. Brat, I will remember you. The demon race will never let you get away. The next second, the Rift Shadow Demon dared not linger for even a moment. He poured out his last remaining strength and tore open a teleportation portal. Like a beaten stray beast, he scrambled desperately toward the gateway. Trying to run? Suddenly, a cold voice echoed from high above. The Rift Shadow Demon snapped his head upward. Somehow, Wu Zhanji had appeared at the highest point in the sky, clutching a ball of brilliant white light brimming with immense power. Wu Zhanji, you? Horror filled the Rift Shadow Demon's gaze. Wu Zhanji looked nothing like the weakened man who had been maintaining the barrier. This old fox had been feigning weakness all along. Wu Zhanji wasted no words and hurled the sphere of white light forward. The orb swallowed the Rift Shadow Demon whole. Buzz. Upon contact, the Rift Shadow Demon's figure vanished completely. The suffocating oppressive aura receded like an ebbing tide. Silence hung in the air for several seconds. All the students stared in utter shock before slowly processing what had happened. We won. We're saved. What just happened? Holy cow. How did he jump that high? Wu Zhanji clapped his hands and waved a hand casually. A massive blue teleportation portal materialized within the light barrier with a roar. All students, enter the portal immediately and evacuate the dungeon. Having narrowly escaped death, the students did not hesitate. One after another, they stumbled and scrambled through the gateway. Soon, only Wu Zhanji and Su Chen remained inside the barrier. Wu Zhanji looked at Su Chen with complicated eyes, undisguised admiration plain on his face. He had witnessed every step of Su Chen's maneuver. First deploying an illusion, sneaking away using invisibility, then using equipment to get point-blank for his fire attack. The whole sequence flowed seamlessly. This proved Su Chen was not only blessed with an overpowered class mechanic, but also possessed exceptional battle intelligence. How could he not treasure such talent? That was far too risky. Your class is not built for close-quarters combat. He spoke earnestly. If I had not intervened to disrupt his blink, your whole plan would have fallen apart. You are right, old Wu. Su Chen nodded humbly. It had indeed been quite risky. But this Rift Shadow Demon had truly forced him to lay bare nearly every trick he possessed. Wu Zhanji smiled. Let us head back. Wait a moment, old Wu. Su Chen made no move toward the portal. His gaze drifted toward the sand drench and corrosive fluid ahead. That was where the acid-melted skeletal dragon corpse lay. Even though the dragon had been dissolved by venom, several dazzling glimmers still shone there. Dark gold, and even faint hints of purple. Those were the glows of epic tier gear and items. Su Chen's eyes lit up. An epic rank boss. What sort of loot would drop? Without hesitation, he reached out and gathered the spoils. System prompt. Obtained Abyssal Dragon Robe Epic Tier. System prompt. Obtained Abyss Gaze Crystal Epic Tier. System prompt. Obtained Abyssal Bone Longbow Dark Gold Tier. System prompt. Obtained Abyssal Dragon Bone Rare Material *2. System prompt. Obtained Epic Grade Skill Stone. System prompt. Obtained Gold Coins *1485568. First was a black robe covered in fine dragon scale plating. Faint blue ghostly flames trickled along its hem, and ripples of pale purple dragon script runes trailed in its wake as it moved. Abyssal Dragon Robe Epic Tier. Rank. Epic Tier. Equip Requirement. Level 25. Spirit plus 1080. Stamina plus 100. Affix 1. Additional Spirit plus 40%. Affix 2. Dragon Bone Soar active. Activate to enter flight state. Movement speed plus 200%. Duration 60 minutes. May be cancelled early. Mana cost 2000. Cooldown 120 minutes. Affix 3. Dragon Script. Bone Aegis passive. Generate a permanent shield equal to 10 times your spirit value. Shield regenerates 60 seconds after breaking. Affix 4. Unlocks at Abyss Corrosion 0/2. Affix 5. Unlocks at Abyss Corrosion 0/4. Suchun. Holy hell. Actual flight. Literal flight. This piece of equipment's granted ability let its user take to the skies directly. Movement speed increased by 200% while flying. Though it offered no other offensive bonuses, the ability to fly alone justified its epic rank. Flight would completely reshape a combat professional's tactical options. I could summon my snake guards, take flight, and wear enemies down from above. Certain dungeons could be bypassed entirely by flying over obstacles. At the very least, I could simply fly away to escape danger. Countless uses raced through Suchun's mind. On top of that came its staggeringly high stat bonuses. A full 1080 points of spirit. Many level 40 mages who invested every attribute point into spirit only had a few hundred points total. Even more absurd was the 40% spirit percentage boost. Percentage bonuses were incredibly valuable. It would remain highly useful even in the late game stages. Suchun shook his head with a bitter laugh. No wonder people said a single epic tier piece of equipment could become a treasured heirloom for a mid-sized noble household. One single item could multiply an ordinary fighter's combat power many times over. Next his eyes fell upon the second ability, Dragon Script, Bone Aegis. Good grief, what a massive shield. A shield value equal to 10 times his spirit. With his current stats, that came out to 27,710 hit points. That shield, even if Wang Xiaoli kept swinging at him nonstop, he would be hard-pressed to break through it. And it was a passive effect. Simply wearing the robe granted it, with zero ongoing cost. Now, the question was, should he equip it? Like other Abyssal Origin gear, it imposed a stamina penalty. This epic tier robe drained a full 100 stamina points. Suchun glanced at his current stamina stat. 96. Holy hell. Suchun's eyes widened. He did not have enough stamina to wear it. In this world, dropping stamina into negative values meant instant death. Still, I do not meet the level requirement anyway. Once I finish my class advancement quest, I will need to prioritize raising my stamina. Suchun carefully stowed the robe inside his backpack. Next came the Abyss Crystal. Abyss Gaze Crystal Epic Tier Rank. Epic Tier Effect. Grants a permanent plus 400 spirit upon consumption, but permanently reduces all physical, magical damage and healing output by 4%. Compared to previous gold and dark gold crystals, this specimen was far larger and possessed a much deeper hue. It granted 400 permanent spirit points. The trade-off was a 4% drop in all damage and healing output. Wu Zhanji was still standing nearby, so Suchun did not consume it right away and simply tossed it into his bag. Afterward came the massive bone longbow. This dark gold weapon boasted excellent stats and was worth close to 10 million gold. Since Suchun had no archer companions, he planned to sell it through the Merchant Guild. Last was an epic grade skill stone. Compared to ordinary skill stones, epic tier 1s carried a far higher chance of teaching brand new abilities. Its value was correspondingly astronomical, easily reaching 8-figure sums. Suchun had burned through 23 silver grade skill stones just to learn his level 20 abilities. He dreaded to imagine how many resources learning level 30 skills would demand. Seeing Suchun store away all the gear and consumables, Wu Zhanji simply warned, "Abyssal power is a double-edged sword. Do not grow greedy for its strength. I have witnessed countless people fall to ruin after being consumed by the abyss. I take your warning to heart, old Wu." Suchun nodded respectfully. "Let us return." Wu Zhanji said no more, and his form slowly dissipated. Suchun walked toward the teleportation portal. Meanwhile, inside the First Star Arena Hall, the atmosphere was oppressively heavy. Heavily armed military personnel had sealed off the entire venue. A middle-aged man in a major general's uniform stood before the main control console, his face dark with fury. "Song Yi, can you still not unlock the dungeon?" the major general roared. Song Yi's forehead dripped with sweat. "No, sir. The dungeon permissions are completely locked. External systems cannot force an entry. Are we just supposed to stand by and watch them get slaughtered by abyssal hordes?" The major general slammed his fist onto the control console. The thick steel countertop caved inward under the impact. Hikaishin's face was ashen, and the stainless steel teacup in his grip crumpled under his crushing strength. "Old He, try to remain calm." Li Jiong offered a feeble attempt at consolation beside him. In a corner of the hall, Lin Shiqing bit her lip hard. Tears welled in her eyes, and her hands twisted anxiously together. "Little Su, you cannot die in there. You promised we would go to Sky Vault Academy together." Just as everyone sank into despair, ding. A crisp electronic chime echoed throughout the hall. The massive scoreboard above the main console suddenly flickered violently. Everyone instinctively looked up, First place, Suchun Tianhe City, Jiangnan Province. Points, 7,518,900. It was not over yet. The numbers began jumping frantically. Points, 7,524,900. Points, 7,530,900. Points, 7,620,900. The numbers refreshed at an astonishing speed. With every update, the points surged upward by increments of 6,000. A death, like silence, fell over the entire hall. What is going on? Li Xiong rubbed his eyes, convinced he was hallucinating. Is there a bug in the scoreboard? Song Yi muttered to himself and quickly pulled up the data stream. No, data feedback is normal. There are no error reports. 6,000 points per kill, and so consistent. Could he be slaying those abyss monsters? At those words, everyone jolted in shock. According to the data just relayed, those monsters were level 30 elite, rank abyss creatures. While the crowd stared in bewilderment, the figures on the scoreboard started racing again. They moved so fast that even the 6th and 7th turn powerhouses present could not follow them with their eyes. Several seconds later, the scoreboard slowly came to a halt. First place, Suchun Tianhe City, Jiangnan Province. Points, 23,058,900. 23 million points. Shock washed over the crowd once more. Good heavens. Director Song, is the scoreboard really working correctly? What kind of foe grants over 10 million points in one go? Based on the earlier figures, each abyss monster must be worth 6,000 points. Does that mean he killed thousands of abyss monsters all at once? Before the crowd could recover from their astonishment, the scoreboard shuddered violently again. First place, Suchun Tianhe City, Jiangnan Province. Points, 33,058,900. This time everyone was utterly dumbfounded. This was different from what had happened before. Previously the scoreboard had flickered non-stop countless times. But this time, it jumped only once. That meant Suchun had slain a single target and gained 10 million points in one instant. What caliber of monster could award 10 million points with one kill? An absurd thought crossed every mind. Could this young man have taken down an epic rank boss? While the crowd remained stunned, buzz. The portal in the center of the hall, previously shrouded in black chi, burst forth with blinding white light. The black chi melted like snow, and the spatial passage stabilized once again. The passage has opened, Song Yi shouted. The next second, white light flashed. More than 90 bedraggled examinees spilled out of the portal like dumplings dropped into boiling water. They tumbled onto the open floor of the hall. The hall erupted into commotion. Medical staff and military personnel rushed forward at once. Hurry, check their injuries. Monitoring team, confirm whether any abyss corruption has been brought out. Song Yi and the Major General hurried toward the center of the group. These top talents from Jiangnan Province wore pale faces and vacant stares. Some trembled uncontrollably. Is everyone all right? Song Yi's voice was hoarse. Over 100 had entered. Only a little more than 90 had returned. Hua's young talents had suffered heavy losses. He sighed, raised his head, and bowed slightly toward the air. Thanks to Elder Zhan's timely intervention, we have preserved Hua's future. Truly a pillar of our nation. With such immense power, he single-handedly crushed the Abyss army. No, that is not what happened. A trembling female voice cut through Song Yi's tribute. The girl lifted her head and met Song Yi's gaze, her eyes wide with shock. Director Song, Elder Zhan did shield us with his light barrier, but... She swallowed hard, her throat dry. But what? The Major General frowned. Had Elder Zhan not been their savior? What exactly had unfolded inside the instance? Taking a deep breath, the girl pointed shakily toward the rear of the crowd. There stood a youth in a black hoodie, strolling unhurriedly out of the portal. Unlike the battered students, he showed no trace of fear or panic on his features. Elder Zhan protected us with his light barrier, but it was him. The girl's voice rose sharply. It was Suchun. All those thousands of level 30 Abyss Flame Demon guards were wiped out by him with a single strike. Not only that epic, rank level 30 Bone Dragon, he killed it in 1 second. Dead silence. Every person in the hall froze solid. They turned as one toward the calm-faced young man. It matches. Everything lines up perfectly with the scoreboard readings. Thousands of level 30 Flame Demon guards, plus an epic, rank dragon. Song Yi fixed Suchun with an intense gaze. Without a doubt, this is the most extraordinary, most terrifying national top scorer in the history of the Great Hua Empire. He Kaishan nudged Li Xiong's shoulder. Old Li, convinced now? I'm convinced. Li Xiong shook his head with a bitter smile. How could he not be? His own students were still shaking too badly to stand upright. Old he, even without our bet, I would grant this young man that qualification. He looked at Su Chun, speaking from the bottom of his heart. This youth represents Huagua's future. At the edge of the crowd, Su Chun had barely touched the ground and had not even glanced at his system panel when a whiff of fragrance drifted over. Xiao Suzy. Lin Shiqing broke through the medical cordon and charged towards Su Chun like a small cannonball. She grabbed his arm and scanned him up and down, her eyes reddening. Are you hurt? Is anywhere sore? I thought you might. Su Chun looked at the girl whose eyes were brimming with tears and smiled faintly. I'm perfectly fine. There was just too much sand in that place. It got me all dusty. Don't lie to me. Did you get corrupted by the abyss? I've heard those abyss effects can be really nasty. Some curses stick with you for life and can never be cleansed. You've been reading too many fantasy novels, young lady. Hey, I'm being serious. Whoa, Chun. Wang Xiaoli flung an arm over Su Chun's shoulder, too excited to form coherent sentences. Brother Chun, you just pulled off something incredible. You practically saved everyone. Anyone would think you're the protagonist of some the top web novel. Su Chun shook his head and chuckled. Just luck. Ha! A loud hearty laugh rang out. He Kaishan strode over. The old man's face glowed with delight. He had even misplaced his thermos cup. He stared at Su Chun, undisguised joy and pride shining in his eyes. Excellent boy. Truly excellent. He clapped Su Chun heavily on the shoulder. I knew I had seen your potential. The very first national top scorer in Tianhe City's history, and achieved in such overwhelming fashion. He waved his hand grandly. Come, back to Tianhe City. Today I'm footing the bill. Eat your fill at Tianhe Grand Hotel. Su Chun blinked. Sir, has your leg healed? He Kaishan's smile froze. Oh no. The title of national top scorer really works wonders. It cured Principal He's leg. At that moment, the Major General walked over with a grin. We are counting on Principal He to contribute to next month's city defense mission. Sigh. He Kaishan sighed. I know. It is not that I refuse to serve. It is just, every time I stand upon the city walls, I remember my fallen brothers. Hearing this, the Major General's smile faded, and he sighed. Then we shall not press you. Do what your condition allows. He said no more and turned his gaze to Su Chun. You will need to give a full written account of what transpired today. For the time being, this incident is classified as National Second-Level Confidential. Do not disclose it to outsiders. Understood, sir. Very well. We can handle the statement later. Go enjoy your celebration. The Major General smiled. With such a prodigy among us, how could Huagua not prosper? Tianhe City. Private booth inside Tianhe Grand Hotel. He Kaishan ordered a lavish spread of exotic beast seafood, dishes Su Chun had never laid eyes on before. Wang Xiaoli stuffed himself until oil glistened around his mouth. Lin Shiqing ate daintily while stealing glances at Su Chun every now and then. As a young lady of the Lin family, these delicacies held no novelty for her. Su Chun, however, helped himself heartily to the priciest dishes. Since he Kaishan was paying, and the exotic beast meat was said to boost physical vitality, he saw no reason to hold back. The feast stretched until past 7 in the evening. Full and satisfied, the group prepared to part outside the hotel entrance. Wang Xiaoli let out a belch. Brother Chun, I'm heading home. Don't forget to come to my admission banquet, all right? Sure, I'll get in touch with you then. Su Chun waved. Lin Shiqing stood beside a stretched limousine and waved. Xiao Suzy, get plenty of rest. I'll contact you in a few days. Su Chun watched the limousine pull away and shrugged. Just then, buzz. The special communication device strapped to He Kaishan's wrist vibrated violently and let out shrill beeping sounds. The alcohol-tinged flush on the old man's face drained completely the instant he saw the caller ID. He straightened abruptly, his formerly hunched back snapping rigidly upright. Yes, understood. Rest assured, sir. Hanging up, He Kaishan grabbed Su Chun before he could turn to leave. Principal, what is wrong? Su Chun stared at He Kaishan's grave, alarmed expression, thoroughly confused. Listen closely, boy. He Kaishan lowered his voice, his demeanor uncommonly stern. Do not go anywhere tonight. Stay at home. Su Chun raised an eyebrow. Why? Someone wishes to meet you. He Kaishan drew a deep breath. A very important figure. Seeing how grave the old principal was, Su Chun's own expression turned serious. Whoever this person was, they had to carry immense weight to make He Kaishan so nervous. Very well. I understand. Su Chun nodded. An important figure? Who could it be? At 8 o'clock that night, Su Chun sat on the sofa inside his shabby old apartment, watching television out of boredom. As the Major General had warned, news of the supplementary exam was kept as a state secret. Not a single word about it appeared on TV. Reports regarding him as the national top scorer remained sparse as well. A brief announcement stated that this year's national aptitude examination had concluded and that the top candidate hailed from Tiana No. 1 High School. His name and his astonishing feats across the 3 exam phases went entirely unmentioned. Alone in the room, he pulled the epic rank Abyss crystal out of his backpack and swallowed it whole. Notice, you have successfully consumed Abyss Gaze Crystal Epic. Spirit plus 400. All physical damage, magic damage and healing effects are permanently reduced by 4%. His spirit stat surged by 400 points in an instant. Knock knock knock. A soft, rhythmic knocking echoed at the door. Su-chan turned off the television and walked over to open it. 2 people stood outside. In front was Kai-shan, standing ramrod, straight with an uncharacteristically solemn look. He had even put on a well-tailored Zhongshan suit, looking far more imposing. Behind him stood an elderly man clad in a gray robe, his hair and beard snow white. No energy fluctuations emanated from him. He looked like an ordinary elderly gentleman. Zhang Wuji. Level. Class. Elder Zhang. Su-chen's eyes widened in surprise. Zhang Wuji was not merely a towering figure in education. He also held a high-ranking military post, tasked with guarding Huagua's border regions. For him to travel all the way to Tiana City was extraordinary in itself. Aren't you going to invite us in? Zhang Wuji looked at Su-chan with a gentle smile. Please, come in. Su-chan stepped aside. The living room was cramped, and its sofa showed clear signs of wear. Zhang Wuji showed no disdain and sat down directly. Kai-shan stood stiffly beside the sofa like a schoolboy, not daring to sit at all. You need not be so tense, Principal He. You may sit as well. Zhang Wuji waved a hand. Only then did Kai-shan perch gingerly on the very edge of the sofa. Zhang Wuji studied Su-chan standing before him, undisguised admiration in his gaze. Su-chan, native of Tiana City, Jiangnan Province. Your parents perished 15 years ago during a monster tide. Zhang Wuji spoke slowly. SSS, rank unique hidden class, Venom Mage. Su-chan nodded. For someone of Elder Zhan's stature, such information was accessible. The important part was yet to come. Zhang Wuji continued. Had I not witnessed your prowess today, I would never have believed such a monstrous talent had emerged within the great Hua Empire. Su-chan replied modestly. It was mostly luck. This was far more than luck. Zhang Wuji shook his head with a chuckle. Luck alone could not slay hordes of Abyss Flame Demon Guards and an epic, ranked dragon. At the same time, his opinion of Su-chan rose even higher. Possessing such terrifying power at such a young age, yet remaining humble, this youth possessed outstanding character as well. After the brief pleasantries, his expression turned solemn. Without you during today's supplementary exam instance, 1,000 of Huagua's finest young talents would have perished at the hands of the Demon Kin. Zhang Wuji suddenly stood and bowed slightly towards Su-chan. On behalf of those 1,000 youths, the Huagua Ministry of Education, and myself, I thank you. Kai-shan's eyes nearly bulged out of his head. Good heavens! Elder Zhan, one of the cornerstones of Huagua, was bowing to a youth who had not even completed his first-class advancement. Elder Zhan, you must not do this. Su-chan quickly bowed back. If this moment were captured and leaked online, it would spark endless public controversy. Little did I expect that after a lifetime of watching over others, I would be caught off guard myself. Zhang Wuji's voice held heavy remorse, and his eyes grew red. 163 examinees lost their lives. I grew complacent after decades without major mishaps and lowered my guard. Su-chan shook his head. Do not blame yourself, Elder Zhan. The Demon Kin are devious. Zhang Wuji slowly shook his head. I, Zhang Wuji, will not shirk responsibility. I have decided to demote myself 3 ranks and head to the front lines to investigate the Demon Kin's schemes firsthand. They have grown increasingly active of late. Military intelligence strongly suggests they are plotting something far greater. As for future examination instances, Shadow of the Rift stole my abilities. I can no longer construct them. Hearing this, Su-chan quickly asked, Elder Zhan, is he still alive? Neither by Blaze nor Shadow of the Rift had triggered a kill notification from his system. Shadow of the Rift had been slammed into his private dimension by Zhang Wuji. Su-chan had assumed he had been captured. He is not dead. Zhang Wuji's expression darkened. I trapped him inside a separate instance I created. Yet, he committed suicide. What? He possesses a special skill. He maintains a special clone elsewhere. Upon death, he can resurrect through that clone. Su-chen's mouth twitched. That mechanic was utterly cruel. Every powerful Demon Kin was maddeningly difficult to kill. Zhang Wuji looked thoughtful and asked, Shadow of the Rift crossed blades with you inside the Abyss instance, did he not? If my deductions are correct, You seized a vital piece of his equipment or artifact. You are correct, Elder Jean. Suchin did not deny it. Truly, the nation's most powerful figures were no ordinary people. From fragments of dialogue recovered from the instance and existing intelligence, Zhang Wuji had pieced together the truth. No wonder, though Shadow of the Rift stole my abilities, opening the Abyss connection to the instance cost him dearly. Hunting Hua's talents was only one objective. Recovering what you took from him was the other. Zhang Wuji did not press for details regarding the artifact and instead warned, "Given this, you must stay vigilant. Shadow of the Rift will never let this go." "I understand." Suchin paused and ventured a question. "Elder Jean, you would not have traveled all the way here late at night merely to tell me all this, would you?" Kaishan gasped and shot Suchin frantic warning glances, terrified he might offend Zhang Wuji. Zhang Wuji stared for a moment, then burst into hearty laughter. Bold and direct. "I like that." Zhang Wuji sat back down. "You are aware that the state has classified today's supplementary exam incident as top secret. Confidential Services and State Security will interview every witness to ensure no information leaks." Suchin nodded in understanding. If word spread that Demon Qin had compromised the national examination instance, widespread panic would sweep across Huagua. The nation will not treat you unfairly. In truth, authorities have kept close watch over you ever since you awakened your SSS rank class. Our nation is vast, however, and countless matters demand attention. The immense machinery of state cannot move instantaneously. After days of intense deliberation, a decision was reached only hours ago. You are officially designated a key protected individual. With that, Zhang Wuji flipped his wrist and produced an exquisitely carved black wooden box. Tiny intricate formation patterns were carved across its surface. Merely gazing at them sent a faint stabbing sensation through one's spirit. Zhang Wuji pushed the box towards Su Chun, authenticated it with his fingerprint. An invisible magical energy rippled outward before he gently lifted the lid. Resting against crimson velvet padding lay a dark gold medal engraved with 9 coiling dragon patterns. 9 dragon purple gold medal epic rank. Epic requirement. None affix. High-grade mind veil. Blocks detection skills from practitioners below level 200. Blocks divination arts of ranks below supreme. Inside the worn-down apartment living room, the 9 dragon purple gold medal shimmered under the lamplight. "This is your reward." Zhang Wuji's voice turned grave and solemn. Since the founding of the Great Hua Empire, only 17 of these medals have ever been awarded. You are the 18th recipient. Zhang Wuji held the medal out towards Su Chun, a trace of reminiscence flickering across his eyes. It shields you from detection skills used by anyone below level 200, as well as divination arts that would seek to locate you. That includes Shadow of the Rift and By Blaze. Wear it, and they will no longer be able to track you so easily. Furthermore, so long as you bear this medal within Great Hua territory, you may ignore private territory blockades imposed by any guild and force entry into any known instance or secret realm. Most importantly, Zhang Wuji paused and spoke each word deliberately. If anyone moves against you in secret, regardless of their identity, level, or background, the Huawa military will spare no cost to bring them to justice. Beside them, Kaishan trembled so violently he nearly slid off the sofa. The 9 dragon purple gold medal. The nation was treating this youth as a national treasure. Suchin picked up the weighty medal. "Thank you, Elder Jean. I accept it." His tone was sincere. With this artifact, he could move with near impunity within Huawa's borders. Naturally, reckless arrogance would still be unwise. Open threats were easy to guard against, but hidden schemes were not. Steady, quiet growth remained the wisest path. Zhang Wuji nodded in approval. Next, he flipped his wrist once more and held up a pure black metal card between his fingers. "This is my personal calling card." Zhang Wuji gestured toward the card. "Reach this number whenever you face trouble you cannot resolve. In dire emergencies, simply shatter the card. It will forcibly open a one-way portal. No matter what I am occupied with, I shall arrive at your location instantly." This time, even Kaishan and Suchin couldn't help drawing a sharp breath. Zhang Wuji could arrive at any moment. This was far more terrifying than a mythic rank piece of equipment. Suchin carefully took the black card, resolving to keep it as his final life-saving trump card. Zhang Wuji glanced at the wall clock, stood up, and patted Suchin on the shoulder. "In a few days, you'll report to Firmament Academy. The old-timers at Firmament Academy all have their heads stuck in the clouds. Once you get there, if anyone tries to make things difficult for you, just mention my name." Zhang Wuji let out a cold snort. "My name still carries weight at Firmament Academy. As for your reward for claiming the national top scholar title, Zhang Wuji smiled mysteriously. When you arrive at Firmament Academy, someone will lead you to claim it. Understood, Elder Zhang. Su Chen nodded obediently. He was curious about what it might be, but since Zhang Wuji chose not to reveal it, he did not press further. The reward wasn't going anywhere anyway. As he headed for the door, Zhang Wuji added, "The nation will spare no effort to nurture you. As for your development plan, the state has decided to put discussions on hold for now. Once you enter Firmament Academy and acquire a mentor, we will revisit the plan based on input from the academy and your tutor." Su Chen said solemnly, "Rest assured, Elder Zhang. I will never let the nation down." "Good." Zhang Wuji smiled with relief. Without lingering any longer, he rose and took his leave. Once his figure vanished into the night, He Kaishan let out a long exhale. He flopped down onto the sofa and wiped the sweat from his forehead. Good heavens, He Kaishan's lips trembled. A9 Dragon Purple Gold Medal, and Elder Zhang's personal calling card. Boy, do you understand what this means? In Dahua, these are worth more than any top-tier gear. Knock knock knock. A dull knocking sound suddenly cut through He Kaishan's words. He Kaishan shot up from the sofa, as if electrocuted. His nerves, which had only just relaxed, tensed up once more. Who could it be at this late hour? Another towering figure? Su Chen stepped forward and pulled open the security door. A tall man stood outside. He wore a crisp military uniform, with dark purple burn marks shaped like demonic runes stretching from his left cheek down to his neck. Commander Lei. When He Kaishan saw the man's face, his voice cracked with shock. This was bad. Could this madman Lei have come in the middle of the night to conscript him into city defense duty? Lei Jun paid no heed to He Kaishan. His gaze locked straight on his Su Chen. He skipped the pleasantries that Elder Zhang had offered and spoke bluntly. Good lad. I knew I hadn't misjudged you. Lei Jun strode into the living room. His heavy combat boots creaked against the worn floorboards. You've done outstanding work. I don't know all the details, but the upper echelons of the military are in an uproar and hold you in extremely high regard. Lei Jun looked at Su Chen and forced a grim smile. I was merely lucky, Su Chen replied modestly. Even Lei Jun knew nothing of the full story. It seemed the nation had already moved to seal information. He wore an innocent grin. Commander Lei, you wouldn't have rushed all the way here just to praise me, would you? Lei Jun showed no offense. He reached out and clapped Su Chen's shoulder. Firmament Academy has a rigid set of rules and is split into countless factions. Even with extraordinary talent, a common-born student like you will likely run into arrogant tutors who treat you coldly. 100 kilometers north of Firmament Academy lies Gaoshan Military Garrison. Its commander, Chen Xiaofeng, is a brother who fought beside me on the battlefield. I've already spoken with him. Seek him out if trouble finds you. You can request equipment, materials, skill stones, anything you need. The military has your back. Su Chen's eyes flickered. Thank you, Commander Lei. He did not offer unnecessary polite refusals. In this world where everyone valued tangible benefits, a promise of backing from a top military leader was the most valuable currency there was. Turning it down would only seem pretentious. There is one more matter. Lei Jun's expression turned grave. Head to the Southern Job Advancement Secret Realm and clear it first thing tomorrow. The demon race has suffered a blow to their pride. Recent unrest has emerged along the border. The senior faculty at Firmament Academy have grown anxious and may send people to fetch you ahead of schedule. Lei Jun turned and marched toward the doorway. Complete your job advancement as soon as possible. Do not waste time. He paused when he stepped outside, not turning his head. His voice sank low yet carried immense gravity. Grow stronger quickly. The nation needs you. Humanity needs you. Bang! The security door slammed shut hard, sending flecks of white plaster showering down from the ceiling. Only then did He Kaishan dare to breathe freely again. He looked at Su Chen and let out a bitter laugh. Kid, you're truly a sought-after talent now. Even Madman Lei, who cares only about battles and monsters, personally came to pave the way for you. Su Chen stroked his chin and turned toward He Kaishan. Old He, Elder Zhang gave me a medal and a calling card, and Commander Lei promised his support. As my former headmaster, shouldn't you offer something too? Get lost. He Kaishan rolled his eyes. This boy was still as shrewd as ever. He asked helplessly, Firmament Academy adopts a mentorship system. Do you know what makes these tutors so special? What is it? Su Chen truly had no idea. Song Xin had briefly mentioned it once out in the wilds. From what she said, Firmament Academy had no fixed classes. Each student received personalized training arranged by their mentor. He Kaishan explained, they can pass on skills through a special method. Pass on skills. Su Chen was stunned. A person could only learn one new skill upon reaching every 10th level. After all. Exactly. He Kaishan huffed with a hint of pride. I won't go into the full mechanics. You'll learn everything once you arrive at Firmament Academy. What I want to tell you is this. He carefully pulled a crumpled sheet of A4 paper from his coat. I've begged and pulled every string I have to secure a special qualification for you in the Tutor Mutual Selection Program. Printed on the paper was the Special Tutor Mutual Selection Recommendation Agreement, stamped officially by Firmament Academy. With this agreement, you can choose any tutor freely. You can even apply to tutors who have closed their rosters to new students. There is a tutor named Granny Poison. Her skill pool matches your class exceptionally well. All the same, the final choice rests entirely with you. Su-Chen took the agreement and quickly stowed it in his backpack. Given how important mentors were at Firmament Academy, this agreement was incredibly precious. As for who he would pick, he would wait until he met them in person. He said politely, "Thank you, Headmaster." He-Kaishin's mouth twitched. TCH. Now he calls him Headmaster. He switches between old he and Headmaster depending on whether there's a benefit to gain, doesn't he? Enough. You have the secret realm to tackle tomorrow. Get some rest early. He-Kaishan waved his hand and prepared to leave. All right. After seeing He-Kaishan off, Su-Chen let out a long sigh. Claiming the national top scholar title had certainly been worthwhile. He glanced at his experience bar, locked at level 20. Tomorrow, I'll clear the job advancement secret realm. I wonder how my class will change after my first advancement. The next morning, Su-Chen set off early toward the coordinates of the secret realm. The secret realm lay 30 kilometers south of Tiana City. The area was remote, so several major guilds in the city ran armed shuttle buses heading there. Tickets were expensive, however, costing 2,000 gold coins for a one-way trip. Su-Chen boarded the bus. The heavily armored shuttle raced across the wilderness. Heavy machine guns mounted on the roof occasionally spat blazing fire, instantly tearing apart low-level monsters that drew too close. Vegetation grew sparser farther from the city, and a faint scent of blood lingered in the air. An hour later, the armed shuttle stopped at the entrance of a massive canyon. Contrary to Su-Chen's expectations, the area outside the secret realm was bustling with crowds. Groups held up signs searching for teammates. Wailing Throne Outer Zone Cleanup Team. Need a healer level 18 or higher. Any healing class welcome. One spot left. Level 20 Elite Warrior leading runs. Guaranteed safe passage past elite patrols. 100,000 gold per person. Spots filling fast for clients. Su-Chen scanned the scene and quickly grasped the situation. No one had fully cleared this secret realm yet, but it granted generous experience. Multiple guilds had worked out partial strategies. Farming only the first half of the monsters yielded far more experience than ordinary dungeons. Ignoring all the recruitment calls, Su-Chen walked straight toward the deepest part of the canyon. There stood a broken blackstone gate. Twisted demonic faces were carved into its frame, and a slowly swirling dark red vortex churned beyond it. Su-Chen cast Detect. Wailing Throne Secret Realm Rank. Nightmare Recommended Level Range. 15 to 20 maximum participants. 5 time limit. Clear within 8 hours special mechanic. Level 20 professionals who clear the realm will complete their job advancement. Nightmare Rank. Excitement flickered in Su-Chen's eyes upon seeing those words. The Desolate Stone Sea had only been hard rank, yet it had brought him massive gains. Monsters inside a Nightmare Rank's secret realm would be far stronger, and the equipment and materials dropped would be superior as well. Hey buddy. A scrawny man with a pointed chin suddenly sidled up to him, twisting several yellowed parchment sheets between his hands. Judging by your look, you're here to attempt job advancement? He sized Su-Chen up, noticing he could not view Su-Chen's class or level. Coming alone? Su-Chen nodded. What about it? Hi, you've got guts. The scrawny man lowered his voice, acting mysterious. Listen to me. The Wailing Throne is nothing like the basic advancement dungeons in the advancement halls. So many reckless youngsters come here hoping for a special job advancement. And what happens? They get hacked to pieces by skeletons inside. I've seen hundreds end up that way. The man waved the parchments with a rustling sound. See this? This is a map of monsters and mechanics in the first half of Wailing Throne, mapped out by our guild at the cost of many lives. Only 50,000 gold coins for a copy. With this, your survival rate will rise by at least 30% if you team up with a strong party. What do you say? Money well spent to save your life. Su-Chen glanced at the tattered sheets. 50,000 gold just for a partial strategy? That was a blatant rip-off. No thanks. Su-Chen stepped past him and headed toward the black gate. The scrawny man froze, then sneered. TCH, another poor fool who values coins over his life. Sure, try clearing Wailing Throne solo. I'll stand right here and watch you die inside. When the secret realm spits your corpse back out, I won't even bother digging a grave for you. Several people forming teams nearby turned their heads upon hearing the commotion. Clearing Wailing Throne alone? Is this guy out of his mind? Probably some sheltered rich kid from a clan who hasn't learned how cruel the world can be. Attempting a Nightmare Secret Realm solo at level 20. He's just throwing away all his hard-earned experience. Suchin paid no mind to the jeers behind him and walked straight into the portal. The dark red vortex expanded abruptly and swallowed his figure whole. Outside the gate, the scrawny man spat on the ground. Damn, he really went in. Young people nowadays don't value their own lives. A brief wave of dizziness washed over Suchun before his boots landed on hard obsidian ground. System notifications popped up at once. Notification: you have entered the secret realm, Wailing Throne. Warning: this is a high-risk zone. All monsters receive substantial stat boosts. Proceed with caution. Notification: player Suchun has reached level 20. Note: clearing this secret realm will trigger your job advancement. There were people in this world who chose to stay stuck at level 20, so the system issued the special reminder. Clearing the secret realm would immediately advance his class. Suchin looked around. He stood within a vast underground palace thick with the stench of blood. Giant demonic statues lined both sides of the great hall. Crack, crack. Unpleasant grinding sounds echoed from every direction. The obsidian floor tiles split open, and white skeletons wielding rusted iron swords clawed their way out from beneath. Blue soul flames flickered within their empty eye sockets as they wandered aimlessly. Bone Warrior, level 25 strength, 380 agility, 250 stamina, 500 spirit, 200. Skills: Bone Reconstruction passive, 50% chance to fully revive once upon death. Heavy Strike active, deals damage equal to twice the user's strength and stuns the target for 0.75 seconds. Suchin's eyes narrowed. No wonder outsiders said ordinary challengers would meet their end here. Buffed by the Nightmare Secret Realm's effects, these skeletons possessed stats 5 to 6 times higher than regular level 20 monsters. 500 stamina was enough to deter most level 20 professionals. Worse still, skeletons stretched as far as the eye could see. At least 1,000 occupied the Great Hall, forming an endless skeleton horde. A level 20 advancement challenge began against a wave of over 1,000 level 25 monsters. On top of that, each one had a 50% chance to revive at full health. In practical terms, he would need to slay well over 1,500 skeletons on average. Ordinary teams would run dry on mana, just sustaining their attacks. The skeletons also possessed a crowd-controlling active skill. Getting swarmed meant being locked and stunned, unable to cast skills. Of course, they posed almost no threat to Suchun. They could not compare to the Flame Demon Guards whose base stats exceeded 1,000, not even the Shadow Bats he had faced in the Abyss dungeon. He raised his explosion staff and pointed its tip toward the Sea of Bones. Let's speed through this. Summon Corrosive Snake Guards. Boom, boom, boom. 2,000 thick, dark, green totem pillars burst upward from the ground. In an instant, the space surrounding Suchun was packed tightly with snake guards. He snapped his fingers lightly. The stone snake heads parted wide. Eerie green light gathered furiously within 2,000 moths. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Dense beams of venom poured down like a storm. Dozens of bone warriors charging in the front rank did not even get a chance to swing their swords before being pierced by the green light. 2130 to 2082, 4,264. Rows of damage values floated upward. After consuming an epic abyss crystal yesterday, his spirit had risen by 400 points, yet his direct damage had dropped another 4%. The direct strikes from his snake guards had barely changed. His poison damage, however, had surged. The next instant, 21917952, 21921123, 21924294. Terrifying green damage numbers erupted across the skeleton horde. His poison now exceeded 20 million damage per second. Against bone warriors with only 500 stamina, this was complete overkill. The blue soul flames in the skeleton's eye sockets snuffed out instantly. Their bony bodies melted into green sludge beneath the venom. Notification: killed level 25 bone warrior by level gap. Experience gained, 2,500. Notification: activated trait Doom Drain. Permanent +1 maximum poison stack count. Current cap: 6,913 stacks. System alerts flooded the screen nonstop. Suchin's eyes lit up. Nearly half of the fallen skeletons stirred amid rustling sounds. Their bones reassembled, and they clambered back out of the green sludge. Before they could steady themselves, they were soaked in venom once more. They died again a heartbeat later, shattering into sludge. To Su Chen's delight, skeletons that revived could still contribute to his stack count. That meant a single skeleton could grant 2 stacks if it triggered its revival. Wait, hold on. Su Chen quickly noticed something odd. A skeleton that had already revived once was dragging itself upright again. Damn, I misunderstood the skill. It isn't limited to 1 revival. Every skeleton retains a 50% revival chance after coming back. That poses a math problem. 1,000 skeletons, each with a 50% chance to revive. How many times do I need to slay them on average? Su Chen's mind raced briefly before he shook his head. No need to calculate now. Still, the difficulty was staggering. A regular team charging blindly into this horde would stand little chance. For Su Chen, though, this was the perfect chance to stack his poison layers. Keep trying to revive, little skeletons. Though massive in number, the skeletons possessed minimal intelligence. They charged forward wielding their blades. Nearly every skeleton was afflicted with poison the moment they entered range. Only a handful managed to close in on the snake guards. Once they reached the snake guards, they engaged in melee combat, focusing entirely on the summoned units instead of trying to circle around to attack Su Chen. Su Chen had kept Light of Concealment ready to turn invisible in an emergency, but it proved unnecessary. He even had enough leisure to launch occasional basic attacks to trigger his staff's explosion effect. Notification: killed level 25 Bone Warrior by level gap. Experience gained, 2,500. Notification: activated trait Doom Drain. Permanent +1 maximum poison stack count. Current cap: 8,922 stacks. Notification: obtained Sturdy Bone X5. 10 minutes later. The stream of system notifications gradually died down. I gained over 2,000 extra stacks. Not bad. Su Chen checked his character panel, then stepped over pools of partially dried green sludge and walked steadily across the vast front hall. Beyond the hall lay a dark, winding passage. The nauseating stench of rot grew thicker in the air. After clearing countless dungeons, Su Chen understood the layout of realms in this world. A nightmare, rank advancement secret realm for level 20 would never contain just one type of monster. The front hall used melee skeletons to drain a party's resources. Far more troublesome mechanics awaited deeper inside. Sure enough, he had walked barely 100 meters into the passage when a sound echoed. Cluck, 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 a skin-crawling chewing sound echoed from the shadows ahead. By the eerie blue glow, Su Chen spotted hundreds of bulky, massive forms sprawled across the ground within the tunnel. These monsters stood over 3 meters tall, their bodies stitched together from countless mangled body parts. A gaping maw lined with fangs split open their bellies, oozing green corrosive fluid. Su Chen's eyes narrowed, and he cast an inspection spell. Stitched Abomination Elite Monster, level 27, Strength, 450, Agility, 80, Stamina, 1,000, Spirit, 100, Skills, Meat Hook, Corrosive Spit. Meat Hook active. Hurl a venomous iron hook forward. Forcibly drag the target toward the caster. Deals physical damage equal to strength times 2 and stuns the target for 1 second. Corrosive Spit active. Spew strong acid in a 0.5 meter fan shape forward from the belly. Reduces the target's physical defense by 50% and deals poison magic damage equal to spirit per second. Staring at the stats panel, Su Chen halted his steps, unable to restrain a twitch of his mouth. 1,000 stamina. Those numbers make no attempt at restraint. No wonder no one has cleared this secret realm for decades. With hundreds of these abominations blocking the path, how could anyone get through? Worse still, their 2 skills were incredibly troublesome. The meat hook could tear apart formation by dragging targets. Anyone pulled within reach would be swamped by acid from hundreds of abominations before being torn to shreds. Roar! At that moment, one abomination detected Su Chen. The massive maw on its belly split wide open. Whoosh! A gigantic rusted iron hook cut through the air towards Su Chen's chest carrying a putrid stench. The hook traveled at blistering speed. Any ordinary mage trapped in this narrow tunnel would have nowhere to dodge. Once dragged over, they would face a storm of acid and endless blows. Su Chen did not even blink. He tapped the ground lightly. Boom! The obsidian stone slab shattered, and 2,000 corrosive serpent guards materialized at once, packing the space before Su Chen completely. Uft! A heavy crash rang out. The iron hook slammed straight into one of the towering corrosive serpent guards. The serpent guard was yanked violently toward the abomination. Upon closing the distance, the abomination hacked the serpent guard into countless fragments. Sorry about that. My serpent guards possess physical forms. Feel free to hook them all you want. Su Chen smiled. You love dragging targets? Go ahead then. The 2,000 serpent guards blocking the tunnel opened fire simultaneously. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Streams of eerie green venom wove into an impenetrable web of firepower, instantly engulfing the dozens of stitched abominations at the front. 28291662. 28294833. 28298004. Strings of staggering 8-digit damage values burst above the abominations' heads. Their bulky bodies melted away visibly before his eyes. Green pus and chunks of flesh scattered across the floor. Notice, slain level 27 stitched abomination elite monster by crossing level gap. EXP gained, 5400. Notice, trait doom absorption triggered. Permanent +1 maximum poison stack limit. Current stack cap, 8923. Notice, obtained rare material ×2 bloody flesh chunk. Notice, obtained common grade rotted chestplate system notifications flooded his vision. Hundreds of abominations managed to hook hundreds of serpent guards, chopping them into pieces. Yet the rate of destruction was far from sufficient. The number of serpent guards barely dwindled. The abominations possessed minimal intelligence. After expending meat hook, they charged forward to engage in melee. Even so, their performance failed to match that of the skeletons. The reason was simple: their movement speed was far too slow. Every hit meant instant death. Skeletons could at least revive and shuffle within striking range, while these abominations were dissolved by venom barges long before closing in. Within mere minutes, all hundreds of abominations dissolved into green slime. The last bulky abomination body melted completely into a puddle of muck. Elite monsters grant generous EXP and drop plenty of materials and equipment. Su-chun organized his backpack and pressed onward. The tunnel stretched endlessly ahead, and the terrain grew increasingly complicated. The deeper he ventured, the more devious the monster compositions became. Several minutes later, a broad crossroads came into view. Dozens of translucent phantoms clad in tattered mage robes hovered at the intersection's center. Wraith Mage Elite Monster, Level 28, Strength 10, Agility 150, Stamina 400, Spirit 850, Skills, Physical Immunity, Soul Shriek Physical Immunity Passive, reduces incoming physical damage by 90%. Soul Shriek active, deals magic damage equal to spirit ×5 to targets across a wide area, and inflicts 3 seconds of silence. Reading the stats, Su-chun was left speechless. A group of creatures nearly immune to physical attacks with a massive area silence spell? A warrior or assassin would be utterly helpless against them. Only mages could deal meaningful damage. What level 20 party could possibly fight these? Su-chun curled his lip. Too bad you've run into someone abnormal like me. He did not give the Wraith Mages any chance to unleash Soul Shriek. Before the phantoms could detect his presence, Su-chun summoned more serpent guards and ordered the front line to attack. Boom! Dense venom streams struck the cluster of Wraith Mages at the crossroads dead on. 29198568. 29201739. Blinding damage numbers spammed across the air. The translucent phantoms vanished into ash without even letting out a cry, overwhelmed by devastating damage. Su-chun cut through every obstacle in his path. Roughly 20 minutes later, after wiping out another mixed monster group of 3 varieties, he finally reached the tunnel's end. A towering dark, gold bronze gate, more than 10 meters high, stood before him. Countless twisted, tormented demon faces were carved across its surface, and thick abyss aura seeped out through the cracks. The system prompt chimed in right on cue. Notice, you have reached the core zone of the secret realm, Throne Hall. The final boss should be beyond this gate. Su-chun paused and stared up at the massive bronze gate. He checked his status panel. Current maximum poison stack limit, 9341. Over 9,000 stacks now. With this limit, I can take on even a level 100 epic boss waiting inside. Su-chun took a deep breath, raised his hand, and pushed hard against the dark, gold bronze gate. Rumble, heavy scraping reverberated through the tunnel. The gate slowly swung open, revealing an even more expansive throne hall beyond. The hall stretched wide. At its far end, a throne constructed from countless skulls loomed high. Seated upon the throne was a terrifying figure sheathed in heavy black armor. Beside it stood a skeletal warhorse wreathed in eerie blue soul flame, and the figure gripped a 3-meter execution greatsword. Standing 50 meters from the throne, Su-chun immediately cast inspection. Death Knight Dark Gold Boss, Level 30, Strength 1200, Agility 450, Stamina 1500, Spirit 800. Skills: Abyss Barrier, Undead Plague, Immortal Aura, Soul Devour Abyss Barrier. Reduce all incoming physical and magic damage by 30%. Undead Plague. Summon an undead army composed of skeleton warriors, abominations, and wraith mages to fight for the caster. Immortal Aura Passive. All undead units within a 500-meter radius of the Death Knight have a 50% chance to fully revive upon death. Soul Devour. Consume one allied undead unit to instantly restore 20% maximum HP. A level 30 Dark Gold boss. 1500 stamina paired with a permanent 30% damage reduction. Yet those were not the most outrageous traits. Su Qian's mouth twitched as he read the descriptions of the last 3 skills. Undead Plague was a summoning ability capable of calling forth every monster he had fought along the way. There was no telling how many it could spawn, but the name Undead Army promised overwhelming numbers. Immortal Aura was even more unreasonable. Every undead within 500 meters, including those formidable elites, gained a 50% revival chance. Up to this point, only skeleton warriors could revive. The abominations and wraith mages he encountered had no such ability. Soul Devour was shameless to the extreme. Consuming a single undead restored 20% of its health, a percentage-based heal with no counterplay. The rules are ridiculously stacked against intruders. No wonder no one has cleared this place for decades. Su Qian shook his head helplessly. Stats this high were already far beyond what level 20 profession holders could contend with, compounded by such overpowered abilities. Wait a minute. A thought suddenly dawned on Su Qian, and excitement flickered in his eyes. It can continuously summon undead troops, and those undead can revive. Isn't this the perfect opportunity to stack poison layers? Thinking of this, his gaze toward the boss shifted entirely. Boom! At that moment, the Death Knight on the throne sensed the presence of living flesh. It lifted its execution greatsword and let out a roar that threatened to rupture eardrums. Awaken my servants, tear the living to shreds. With its shout, the entire throne hall shuddered violently. Crack! Crack! Countless pale arms burst up from the ground. Within seconds, hundreds of skeleton warriors clambered out of the earth. Behind them, dozens of bulky stitched flesh abominations brandished iron hooks and howled. Dozens of tattered-robed, translucent wraith mages materialized mid-air. Such was the power of a Dark Gold boss. Even without the boss itself, ordinary level 20 parties would be overwhelmed by this fearsome mixed unit formation. Still, Su Qian did not retreat a single step. He simply lifted a hand and snapped his fingers. You want to match numbers? Corrosive Serpent Guards. The ground beneath Su Qian split open. He held nothing back this time, summoning 6,000 serpent guards at once. Hiss! 6,000 serpent heads opened their jaws in unison, empty eye sockets locking onto the charging undead army ahead. -38961-311. -38965-482. Dense venom orbs surged forward like an inverted rainstorm, instantly washing over the front lines of skeleton warriors. Bang, bang, bang. The fragile skeletons did not last even a single second. Their frames corroded completely into scattered bone fragments. Yet the next instant, pale light flickered from the immortal aura around the Death Knight. Half of the broken bones reassembled. Crack! Hundreds of skeleton warriors stood once more at full health. Roar! The abominations unleashed meat hook, felling dozens of serpent guards as they advanced through the venom downpour. Their thick flesh sizzled under corrosion. Upon collapsing, half of the abominations revived on the spot thanks to the aura. Such infuriating mechanics. Su Qian cursed silently at the sight. Still, he loved it. Notice, slain level 25 skeleton warrior by crossing level gap. EXP gained, 2,500. Notice, slain level 27 stitched abomination elite monster by crossing level gap. EXP gained, 5,400. Kill notifications streamed endlessly. Meanwhile, eerie light blazed within the Death Knight's eye sockets. Unlike low-tier undead, it possessed sharp battle intuition. After witnessing the endless tide of serpent guards, it quickly grasped the core threat. Slaying summoned creatures was meaningless. It had to eliminate the caster. Charge! The Death Knight mounted its warhorse and tugged the reins. The skeletal steed neighed and charged straight towards Su Qian. Living being died. The greatsword rose high, cutting through the air as it aimed for Su Qian's head. Faced with this unstoppable charge, Su Qian merely snapped his fingers casually. Have fun by yourself. I'll step out of sight for a while. Light of concealment activated. Swish. Su Qian's figure merged into thin air and vanished without trace. Boom. Several seconds later, the Death Knight's greatsword crashed into the ground where Su Qian had stood moments earlier. A massive crater formed, dust billowing outward. Not a drop of blood could be seen. The Death Knight reined in its mount abruptly. Flickering flames swirled in its eye sockets as it scanned every corner. Where did it go? Its powerful spiritual perception swept across the entire hall like radar, yet it could not detect the faintest trace of Su Chun. No mana fluctuations, no footprints, nothing at all. Reveal yourself, cowardly worm. The Death Knight roared, slashing its greatsword wildly through empty air. It could not catch even a wisp of Su Chen's presence. Enraged, it lifted the sword once more, the soul fire in its sockets blazing fiercely. Awaken my servants, tear the living to shreds. Undead Plague activated again. Crack, crack. Hundreds more skeleton warriors, abominations, and wraith mages crawled out of the ground. Hidden far away under invisibility, Su Chen stared at the swarming undead horde. Far from feeling fear, his eyes lit up. All of this was EXP and poison stacks. However, 6,000 serpent guards will struggle to avoid that huge boss in the center and target only the minor monsters. Su Chen massaged his temples, concentrating his spiritual power to the utmost. He carefully directed the serpent guards to steer clear of the boss and focus fire purely on minions. If even one stray venom stream grazed the Death Knight, with his current poison stack limit, the poor dark gold boss would dissolve into ash within 2 seconds. Puff, puff, puff. Dense venom poured down once more like a storm. Strangely, a circular empty zone formed dead in the center of the storm, perfectly avoiding the Death Knight's body. -41705829. -41710000. Monsters rising from the ground were immediately doused in green venom. They melted into puddles of muck in a single second. Right after, the immortal aura ignited, reviving half of the fallen creatures. They were dissolved once again by venom. Notice, trait Doom Absorption triggered. Permanent +1 maximum poison stack limit. Current stack cap, 99.99. Notice, trait Doom Absorption triggered. Permanent +1 maximum poison stack limit. Current stack cap, 10,000. System alerts flooded his vision nonstop. The threshold of 10,000 stacks was officially broken. Su Chen watched the rapidly climbing stack counter on his status bar, grinning widely. This stacking rate, I truly met the perfect opponent. You are a dark gold boss, keep summoning them. Watching its army get slaughtered relentlessly, the Death Knight's fury intensified. It galloped around aimlessly, trying to hunt down the master of those loathsome serpent guards. 20 minutes passed. The Death Knight's roar turned hoarse. Its mana reserves visibly dwindled. The summoning range of Undead Plague shrank from covering most of the hall to spawning merely dozens of skeletons around the throne. Summons also came far less frequently. Only over 1,000 serpent guards remained, yet they still formed an impenetrable wall against the dwindling undead. 30 minutes in. My servants, awaken, the Death Knight raised its greatsword. The eerie blue light along the blade flickered a few times and emitted a faint sizzle. Eventually, it faded completely. Nothing happened. No skeletons rose from the ground. Not a single bone stirred. Su Chen blinked. Looks like it's nearly out of mana. Wait, is that all the mana a dignified level 30 dark gold boss possesses? Can it hold out a little longer? A heavy silence descended over the hall. The Death Knight sat atop its skeletal steed, greatsword in hand, staring blankly at the empty hall surrounding it. Completely drained of mana. A highly exasperated sigh echoed out of thin air. Su Chen looked down at the isolated Death Knight, his tone thick with disdain. A pity I cannot force mana potions down the boss's throat. He shook his head and checked his status panel. Current maximum poison stack limit, 17280. Nearly 8,000 new stacks gained. Gathering this many outside the secret realm would require months of grinding ordinary monsters. I've exerted great effort keeping you alive this long. Now that you cannot summon any more creatures, it is time for you to die. Su Chen issued the order to his serpent guards. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The serpent guards' attacks finally landed on the boss. As deadly toxin coated the Death Knight's body, Su Chen clenched his palm gently. 10,000 Venom Cataclysm, detonate. Upon casting the skill, his invisible form materialized, yet the ability had already activated. The Death Knight's massive body stiffened instantly. Soul fire within its eye sockets shrank violently, as if sensing an incomprehensibly terrifying force detonating inside its frame. -720748800. An absurdly enormous damage value floated upward. Its health bar emptied in an instant. Boom. The Death Knight could not even let out a final scream. Amid eyes full of unwillingness, both it and its warhorse dissolved into a puddle of green slime. At the same time, Cascading system notifications exploded in Su Chen's ears. Notice, slain Abyss Death Knight Dark Gold boss by crossing level gap. EXP gained, 18 million. Notice, secret realm cleared. You have completed your first class advancement. Notice, your level cap has been unlocked, maximum level, 40. Notice, EXP threshold met. Level up to level 21. All attributes +1. Obtain 10 free attribute points. Notice, EXP threshold met. Level up to level 25. All attributes +1. Obtain 10 free attribute points. Notice, your class trait All Things Rot has evolved. Please check details promptly. Notice, you have comprehended new class trait Sluggish Poison Miasma. Notice, skill level cap unlocked. Maximum level raised to 2. The brilliant golden light pillars slowly faded away. 5 levels gained in one go. Su Chen exhaled deeply. What a massive pool of accumulated EXP. Countless abyss monsters fought during the entrance examination. An epic dragon, plus the nightmare secret realm he cleared today, pushed his level straight to 25. After level 20, leveling became notoriously difficult. Many professionals would spend months, even years, failing to gain a single level if they only hunted ordinary monsters outside the city. Job advancement forms an uncrossable divide that separates social classes in this world. Beyond unlocking a higher level cap, its most obvious impact lies in the growth rate of base attributes. Before the first advancement, every level up grants +1 to all attributes, alongside 5 free attribute points. Once the first advancement is completed, this growth rate doubles outright. Each level up still adds 1 point to all attributes, but free attribute points increase to 10. While it may seem like merely 5 extra points, the gap widens into an insurmountable chasm as levels rise. A level 30 job holder who has completed their first advancement can easily overwhelm 40 to 50 level 10 job holders. Su Chen glanced at the full 50 accumulated free attribute points on his status panel. Without hesitation, he channeled all of them into stamina. Equipping the epic robe would reduce his stamina by 100 points. Even with these 50 added points, his stamina would still remain quite low. After allocating his attributes, Su Chen turned his gaze to the next line of system prompts. It detailed the fundamental transformation of class traits, only obtainable upon clearing a special job advancement secret realm. Ordinary job advancement offers nothing like this. Special advancement truly lives up to its reputation. Su Chen opened the trait panel. Trait 1 All Things Rot. Every form of your attack, basic strikes, spells, and other abilities inflicts 1 stack of deadly toxin on targets. Note, deadly toxin deals true damage equal to the stack count of spirit every second, ignoring armor and magic resistance. Last 20 seconds. Current maximum toxin stack limit, 17,281. Trait 4 Lingering Poison Miasma. All enemies afflicted with deadly toxin suffer a 20% movement speed reduction. For every second the toxin remains active, the slow effect stacks an additional 20%, capped at 100%. After reading the panel, Su Chen gasped. It was not fear, but shock at how overpowered his new class was. This was absurdly strong. The duration of All Things Rot had doubled from 10 seconds to 20. Where 1 toxin stack once dealt 10 instances of damage, it now dealt 20. Total damage had effectively doubled. With his formidable spirit stat and a toxin stack cap of over 17,000, a fully stacked poison could erode even a mountain to nothing. In addition, the damage of poison detonation had also doubled. Yet this was not the most broken aspect. The newly awakened lingering poison miasma was far more formidable. Upon being poisoned, targets immediately slowed by 20%. An extra 20% slow stacked every subsequent second. In other words, any creature scratched by Su Chen would be completely immobilized after 5 seconds. Unable to move. Melee combatants would be rendered incapable of attacking entirely. They could only stand rooted in place, watching their health bar steadily drain away under the toxin until they dissolved into a pool of green slime. This ability set is extremely oppressive. Su Chen shook his head. After examining his formidable traits, he continued reading. Notice, your skill level cap has risen to level 2. Su Chen raised an eyebrow at the prompt. Skills in this world were not static. Every time a job advancement was completed, all mastered skills gained a new level cap. The first advancement unlocked level 2 skills, the second unlocked level 3, and so on. However, skill upgrades did not happen automatically upon gaining sufficient experience like character levels. They required specific resources or dedicated meditation at designated locations. Furthermore, upgraded skills did not follow a fixed set of effects. They mutated in different directions based on the job holder's personal preferences and choices. This was the core method for job holders to forge their unique combat systems. Take the most basic mage spell Fireball as a simple example. When upgraded to level 2, several evolution paths become available. Some practitioners drastically shorten the cast time, even turning it into an instant spell suited for interrupts and hit-and-run tactics. Others expand the explosion radius twofold, turning it into a small area of effect skill ideal for clearing swarms of enemies. A third variant allows casters to launch 2 or even 3 fireballs in a single cast, prioritizing single-target burst damage. Everyone selects different skill evolution paths based on their talents, equipment, and fighting habits, eventually assembling a one-of-a-kind combat style. This was what made the world so captivating. Even practitioners of the same class would fight in completely distinct ways in the later stages. Still, achieving skill upgrades and targeted mutations demanded massive resources and often guidance from high-ranking instructors. Ordinary guilds and trading companies did not provide such services. Even when available, the costs were unaffordable for most people. There was only one place where skill advancement was most accessible: the major academies. That explained the critical importance of academies across this world. Su Chen's corrosive serpent sentry and poison detonation remained at level 1. He wondered just how devastating these already formidable skills would become once upgraded to level 2. Su Chen closed his system panel and looked toward the spot where the Death Knight had fallen. Several dim golden glimmers flickered beside the pool of green slime. No more thinking. Time to collect the loot. Su Chen strode over with light steps. Su Chen arrived beside the green slime. The dim golden light stood out sharply against the desolate bone-strewn plains. He reached out without hesitation and gathered all the spoils on the ground. Notice, obtained Abyss Knight Battle Axe Gold Grade. Notice, obtained Broken Bone Chestplate Gold Grade. Notice, obtained Undead Sovereign Ring Dark Gold Grade. Notice, obtained Undead Flame Rare Material. Notice, obtained 86,810 gold coins. 3 pieces of equipment, 2 gold grade, 1 dark gold grade. Su Chen first opened the stat panels for the 2 gold grade items. Abyss Knight Battle Axe Gold Grade, level 25, strength plus 200. Warrior classes gain an additional 15% strength. Bonus effect: attacks have a 5% chance to inflict severe wound. Broken Bone Chestplate Gold Grade, level 25, stamina plus 150. Usable by all classes, grants an extra 15% stamina. Bonus effect: when struck, 5% chance to reflect 10% incoming physical damage. After reading their stats, Su Chen let out a faint sigh. As expected, obtaining equipment suited to his own class was incredibly difficult. The battle axe was clearly intended for warriors. Su Chen had no intention of charging into combat wielding an axe. The chestplate had no class restrictions, yet he already possessed the epic robe he had acquired earlier, so a gold-grade chestplate held little appeal. Su Chen casually stored both pieces of equipment inside his storage space. His attention then shifted to the final ring radiating rich dark gold light. Forged from an unknown black metal, the ring featured a gray gemstone set into its face, flickering like faint ghost fire. Su Chen focused his mind and opened its stat panel. Undead Sovereign Ring Dark Gold Grade Tier. Epic requirement. Level 25 Spirit plus 300 bonus effect 1. Plus 10% additional Spirit bonus effect 2. Immortal Aura passive. All your summoned creatures have a 50% chance to immediately resurrect at full health upon death. Su Chen's eyes lit up the moment he saw the stats. 300 base spirit plus an extra 10% bonus. With his current attribute values, percentage bonuses yielded tremendous gains. What truly captivated him, however, was the passive ability. A 50% resurrection chance for summoned creatures. They actually dropped the boss's signature ability. Su Chen never anticipated looting the Death Knight's second skill directly. Summoners would fight fiercely over equipment like this. He glanced at the 2 rings already on his hands. On his left hand rested the gold-grade Shadow Dancer ring. It held a life-saving ability that created illusions to draw enemy aggro, a crucial trump card against high-level assassins and sudden ambushes. He could not replace it yet. His right hand bore the low-grade Iron Summoner's ring. It only provided a small spirit boost and a negligible 100 extra health for summons, far too weak to match his current power. He removed the Iron Summoner's ring without hesitation and tossed it into his backpack. Then he slipped on the Undead Sovereign Ring. Feeling his spiritual power surge once more, Su Chen rubbed his palms together. Time to test it out. Su Chen was always a man of action. He focused his mind and summoned more than a dozen corrosive serpent sentries on open ground a dozen meters ahead. Dark green sentries burst from the earth, their hollow serpent heads staring forward. All right, let's begin the trial. Target that single sentry over there. Open fire. More than a dozen sentries relentlessly sprayed deadly venom at their kin. 2786 to 2774, 2802. Su Chen's stamina remained extremely low, so the sentries possessed negligible health and defense. The targeted sentry's health bar emptied in an instant. It cracked apart and dissolved into green slime seeping into the ground. Su Chen stared at the slime for 3 full seconds. Nothing happened. No resurrection. He frowned. Does it not activate? Or did I simply get unlucky? He ordered the remaining sentries to focus fire on another target. Another barrage of venom struck. The newly summoned sentry shattered once again. But this time, woo! Just as the sentry crumbled into slime, the gray gem embedded in the ring flashed brightly. Gray energy wrapped around the dissolving sludge. In half a second, the green liquid flowed backward as if time reversed. Hiss hiss. A brand new corrosive serpent sentry rose from the spot, fully restored to maximum health. Notice, Sovereign will triggered. Your summoned creature has been resurrected. It works. Su Chen smiled in satisfaction as he looked at the revived sentry. A 50% chance effectively raises the survival rate and total number of my serpent sentries by a large margin. Against massive area attacks that wipe out all summons in one strike, as long as the damage does not trigger multiple instances, I can withstand it easily. Even if all summons were eliminated at once, half of them could potentially revive on the spot. Su Chen stroked his chin as he observed the serpent sentries, letting out a quiet sigh. Still, my combat build is growing increasingly complicated. Su Chen equipped the Abyss Dragon speech robe and checked his status. Su Chen, class, Venom Mage SSS. Rank Unique Hidden Class. Level 25, Strength 34, Agility 52, Stamina 53, Spirit 69. 26 Exclusive Class Traits. All Things Rot. God of Venom. Misfortune Absorption, Lingering Poison Miasma Skills, Scouting Basic, Corrosive Serpent Sentry, Veil of Obscurity, Poison Detonation Current Toxin Stacks, 17,281. Equipment, Burst Staff Iron Grade, Abyss Dragon Speech Robe Epic Grade, Bloodthirsty Boar Hide Leggings Bronze Grade, Undead Sovereign Ring Dark Gold Grade, Tough Gargoyle Necklace Silver Grade, Shadow Dancer Ring Gold Grade, Abyss 3, Headed Hound Gauntlets Gold Grade, Hell 3, Headed Hound Skull Gold Grade, Consciousness Severance Badge Dark Gold Grade, Nine Dragon Purple Gold Metal Epic Grade, Abyss Dusk Hood Dark Gold Grade. Su Chen drew a sharp breath. He had not realized his stats had grown so formidable. The continuous damage from deadly toxin now hits 119,688,206 damage per second. With a 20-second duration, poison detonation deals 2,393,764,120 damage. Over 2 billion damage. Su Chen was stunned by his own calculations. Few opponents could endure damage on this scale. Su Chen shook his head and glanced around the empty Great Hall. The boss had been defeated, and all spoils collected. The teleportation array clearing the Wailing Throne slowly lit up at the center of the plains. Outside the secret realm entrance, noise still filled the air. The scrawny man selling strategy guides was cornering a newly arrived squad, vigorously promoting his parchment scrolls. Gentlemen, I speak the truth. The Wailing Throne is a deadly place. A lone adventurer rushed in a short while ago. He is likely nothing but bone fragments chewed up by skeletons by now. Buy a strategy guide, and you buy yourself a chance to survive. At that moment, the ruined black stone gate shook violently. With a slowly swirling dark red vortex, dimmed instantly. Noise died away. Every head turned toward the fading portal. A white light? What is happening? Wait, the portal is vanishing. Could it be someone cleared the secret realm? Impossible. No one has conquered the Wailing Throne in decades. The major guild teams only entered 10 minutes ago. Clearing it this fast cannot be done. Under everyone's stunned gaze, a figure wearing a dark hood stepped casually out from the white light curtain. The scrawny man froze. It was the same adventurer who had refused to buy his guide earlier. Su Chen brushed imaginary dust off his shoulders and surveyed the crowd frozen in shock. Right then, countless other figures were expelled from the portal. Ugh, what's going on? We barely fought a few skeletons before being forced out. Someone cleared the secret realm? Which guild achieved it? Could elite military forces have intervened? The parchment scroll slipped from the scrawny man's hand and landed on the muddy ground. His mouth hung open, eyes bulging, his pointing finger trembling. You, he stammered, unable to form a complete sentence. All major guild members were equally confused. None of their teams had succeeded. Could this young man be the one who cleared it? The armored transport traveled smoothly back to Tiana City. Instead of heading home, Su Chun went straight to the headquarters of the Job Holders Chamber of Commerce. 20 minutes later, Su Chun pushed open the luxurious crystal glass doors of the chamber hall and headed directly for the president's office. As he passed the ordinary goods counter in Zone C, however, he halted. He blinked, fixing his gaze on a man behind the counter idly wiping glass surfaces. The man wore an inexpensive blue and white uniform for junior chamber sales staff, yet Su Chun recognized that familiar face immediately. The man behind the counter sensed the stare and looked up. When he saw Su Chun, he fell silent. Su Chun, Zhang Zhe, They stood separated by a 1-meter glass counter, staring at each other. An awkward silence hung thick in the air. After a long pause, Zhang Zhe's round face crumpled, his expression full of despair. Su Chun rested both hands on the counter and leaned forward slightly, curious. President Zhang, what is with this uniform? Are upper management sending executives to experience frontline work these days? The title President Zhang made Zhang Zhe's facial muscles twitch violently. He nearly crushed the rag in his grip. Don't tease me, Su Chun. I am not a president anymore, just a low-level sales clerk. All thanks to Bai Ji. Bai Ji. Su Chun raised an eyebrow. He knew Bai Ji's true identity, of course. That information was classified state secrets, so he kept it to himself. He wore a suitably confused expression. The woman who used to brew tea in the reception room? That's her. Zhang Zhe gritted his teeth, his voice lowered with lingering fear. Who would have guessed that seemingly gentle young woman was a demon spy? Su Chen's eyes flickered, and he feigned greater surprise. A demon spy hiding his chamber staff? Zhang Zhe sighed and continued. Her identity was exposed yesterday. All of us were taken in for military questioning. I was only released this morning. She managed to escape, but upper management flew into a rage. As the branch president of Tiana City, I failed to uncover a demon spy operating right under my nose. I had to bear full responsibility. Fat on Zhang Zhe's cheeks shook. A direct order stripped me of all authority, demoting me to this counter job. All my annual bonuses were revoked. If not for my years of service, I would have lost my position entirely. My condolences. Su Chun offered hollow sympathy before moving directly to business. Since you are working the counter now, you can still handle transactions, right? What became of the gold-grade equipment I consigned to you earlier? At the mention of business, Zhang Zhe cast aside his dejected look and regained the sharp acumen of a merchant. Even having lost his status, he had no wish to lose Su Chun, an exceptionally promising client. He tapped rapidly on the terminal before him and pulled up a data panel for Su Chun to view. The equipment you consigned had excellent attributes. With the college entrance examination approaching, guilds and wealthy families snapped everything up. Zhang Zhe pointed at the numbers on screen. Total sales reached 45 million gold coins, far above standard market prices. 45 million? Su Chen's eyes lit up. In Tiana City, ordinary workers earned merely 3,000 to 4,000 gold coins each month. 45 million represented an enormous sum for him at this stage. Yet his smile faded when he saw the final settlement amount. Final settled amount, 36 million gold coins. Su Chen gasped and shook his head. No matter the world, merchants always took steep cuts. Zhang Zhe explained. We process the sale through an urgent channel, which carries higher commission fees. But, he tapped the terminal once more. Your massive transaction volume has automatically upgraded your chamber VIP rank to Tier 2. Permanent 4% reduction on transaction fees. Fees can drop further as you advance to higher VIP tiers. Very well, 36 million it is. Su Chen decided not to dwell on the deduction. He dumped all materials and equipment obtained from the college entrance exam dungeon and the job advancement secret realm onto the counter. Consign all of these for me. Calculate charges according to Tier 2 VIP rates. Zhang Zhe swept his gaze over the pile of materials on the counter, and his pupils constricted sharply. Dark gold tier equipment. Look at these stats, damn, and these materials. Did you really rob the Lin family's warehouse? Zhang Zhe gasped. Dark gold tier equipment rarely went up for sale. Most guilds fought over them for their own members. What's more, some of these materials only dropped from epic rank bosses. Cut the crap. Su Chen flew into a rage. Did he look like someone who leeches off others? Su Chen would rather starve to death, freeze outside, or jump off somewhere than rely on anyone for handouts. All right. As long as it's legally obtained, that's fine. Zhang Zhe quickly stowed away the materials. Right now, he looked at Su Chun as if he were a walking mountain of gold. If he could stick close to this powerhouse, he might just get a chance to turn his life around. Su Chun tapped the counter. Also, check your Chamber of Commerce's inventory for me. I need a mage weapon around level 25. It has to have the advanced splash affix or another effect that expands attack range. Dark gold tier or higher is preferred. Money is no object. He'd run several dungeons without getting a single mage weapon drop. He'd given up on farming one himself. He might as well use his wealth and buy one directly. His inventory was overflowing with gold anyway. He barely knew what to spend it on. Advanced splash. Zhang Zhe blinked. That affix is pretty rare, and most mages don't care for it. He immediately started frantically searching the system. Several minutes later, he lifted his head, sweating heavily, and looked at Su Chun apologetically. I'm really sorry. Tianhe City is only an ordinary prefecture, level city after all. Our branch has limited stock of top-tier gear. Zhang Zhe wiped sweat from his brow. We don't have anything matching your requirements at the Tianhe branch right now. Nothing. Su Chun frowned. Yeah, that affix hardly ever appears. Zhang Zhe paused for a moment. Have you considered commissioning a craftsman to forge it? Su Chun froze. That's right. This world didn't only have combat and support classes. How had he forgotten crafting professions? During the awakening ceremony, some of his classmates had awakened the blacksmith profession. Blacksmiths forged all kinds of equipment. The most masterful blacksmiths could even craft divine artifacts. Does your Chamber of Commerce have high-rank blacksmiths? None in Tianhe City. But our master blacksmith Jiang Buyu is stationed in northern border. If you head to Vault of Heaven Academy, it'll be convenient for you to seek him out. Good. Send me his contact information. Su Chun jotted down the details and turned to leave. He only took 2 steps before coming to a halt. He glanced back at Zhang Zhe behind the counter, stuck in that stifling shop assistant uniform. Xiao Zhang. Zhang Zhe was caught off guard. Huh, keep at it. Su Chun brushed imaginary dust off his clothes and sighed. You're only a shop assistant now, but if you push hard to sell potions, you'll climb back up to guild leader one day. I've got faith in you. Without waiting to see Zhang Ze's utterly disgusted expression, Su Chun whistled and walked out of the Chamber of Commerce in high spirits. Zhang Ze stared at Su Chun's departing figure, his eyelids twitching violently. Damn it. This guy still had such a sharp tongue. Early morning. Sunlight streamed through the gap in the curtains onto Su Chun's bed. He leaned against the headboard, scrolling through his phone. The class group chat was flooded with messages, everyone discussing the admission celebration feasts. Several classmates sent out red envelopes, livening up the atmosphere. Wang Xiaoli messaged him to hang out. He'd been admitted to a university in the southern border sea region. They'd be far apart from then on, and meeting up would be difficult. Su Chun was thinking about sending a message to say goodbye and tag along for a meal when the doorbell suddenly rang. Who could it be? Could it be Lin Shiqing? He yawned and opened the door. Standing outside was Song Xian. She wore her patched dark gray fitted leather armor, and a faint scent of deodorant drifted into the room. Good morning, Junior Su. Song Xian leaned against the doorframe and waved at him, the tight thin braid on her right side swaying. Su Chun looked at her, not rushing to let her inside. Morning. Su Chun leaned against the door and spoke slowly. If I remember correctly, someone tricked me out of several high-value corpses the other day in exchange for a run of the Mill's secret realm location. How dare this merchant show up at his door? Did she think he held no grudges? Song Xian's smile stiffened for a second before she quickly regained her easy grin. Ahaha. She laughed awkwardly, her gaze drifting slightly sideways. Come on, Junior Su. Information always comes with gaps between what different people know. Besides, even if lots of people visit that secret realm, it still has valuable treasures inside, right? You didn't lose out. On top of that, who knows what you did? Those corpses turned into disgusting puddles of slime. I went through so much trouble getting the Bounty Association to confirm their identities. As she talked, she squeezed naturally through the doorway and sat down unceremoniously on the living room sofa. You wouldn't come without an agenda. Speak up. What exclusive intel are you trying to sell this time? Su Chun closed the door and sat across from her. Song Xian dropped her playful demeanor and pulled out an admission letter bearing the seal of Vault of Heaven Academy. This is your official acceptance letter. The Academy sent notice requesting you to report early. But that's not the main point. She paused, then pulled a parchment scroll out of a pocket on her tactical belt and slid it onto the coffee table. The real news. An abyss dungeon entrance has appeared near Gaofeng City. The city defense force suffered heavy casualties and had to ask the Academy for support. And you've been selected for the mission. All students of Vault of Heaven Academy bear this responsibility from enrollment. You can't turn it down. Suchin raised an eyebrow. Another abyss dungeon? His last trip into an abyss dungeon had pitted him against a rift shadow. It had been dangerous, yet the rewards were substantial. What's more, Suchin already owned 3 pieces of abyss equipment. His set progress stood at 3/4. If he could obtain one more piece, even one with mediocre stats, he'd complete the 4-piece set. He was curious what skill the 4-piece abyss set would unlock. Suchin kept his expression calm and asked, "There are plenty of senior students at Vault of Heaven Academy. Why draft an incoming freshman who hasn't even registered yet?" Song Xian explained. "This abyss dungeon enforces a level cap of 25. Only first and second year students qualify. Very few below level 25 are capable of clearing it alone or leading a team." Suchin leaned back against the sofa and stroked his chin. "Level 25 and under, huh?" He opened his status panel and took a look. Level 25 8%. Lucky you arrived just in time. Suchin closed the panel and said evenly, "Otherwise, I would have broken level 25 very soon." Song Xian had just lifted a glass of water to drink. She froze mid-motion. She slowly turned her head, staring at Suchin as if he were a monster, eyes wide and mouth slightly agape. What did you say?" Song Xian's voice cracked. "You're about to pass level 25? Wait, it's only been a few days. Last time we met you were only level 10. Are you even human?" Suchin rolled his eyes. Such an overreaction. If she'd arrived any later, a few more dungeon runs today would have pushed him past the threshold for sure. Suchin stood up and walked toward the bedroom. "Give me 5 minutes." "Wait a second." Song Xian struggled to process the absurd news. Top talents only hit level 17 before official enrollment. Even the assessment for the second year caps out around level 22. "How are you?" 5 minutes later, Suchin walked out of the bedroom. "Let's go." The two did not linger in Tiana City. Suchin sent a message in the class group and to Lin Shiqing. "Something urgent has come up. Enjoy the feast, everyone." Then he set off with Song Xian toward the provincial teleportation array. Once they reached the provincial capital, they headed straight for the massive central teleportation hub. Blinding white light flashed, and a strong sense of weightlessness washed over them. When their vision cleared, they stood on the edge of a huge floating island. This was the transfer station for travelers heading to Vault of Heaven Academy. "The teleportation array only brings us this far." Song Xian pointed toward a massive vessel not far away. "We take that next." It was an enormous wooden flying ship covered in intricate glowing runes. Large mechanical wings stretched out from either side of the hull. Several students wearing Vault of Heaven Academy uniforms stood on the deck. "That's the Academy's exclusive flying ship. Boarding requires an admission letter or Academy badge." Song Xian explained. The two followed the crowd up the boarding ramp. The guard checked Song Xian's badge, then examined Suchin's admission letter, nodded, and let them pass. The flying ship's deck was vast, swept by strong winds. Suchin walked to the edge and looked down at the churning sea of clouds far below. "This ship moves fast." Suchin felt the wind rushing toward him. "How long until we arrive?" "Half a day." Song Xian joined him at the railing, resting her hands on the barrier. "Once we reach the academy, we'll finish your enrollment procedures first. You're reporting early, so classes haven't started and there aren't any other new students. Tomorrow we head straight for the Abyss dungeon entrance." She turned to Suchin, her tone growing serious. "Junior Su, the Abyss dungeon is no trivial matter. Monsters inside have far higher stats than those on the surface, and their mechanics are brutal." She kept talking, carefully walking Suchin through the debuff mechanics unique to Abyss dungeons. "I see." Suchin nodded. "I've cleared an Abyss dungeon before, actually." Song Xian fell silent for a moment, her mouth twitching. "Damn it. Why didn't you say so sooner?" He'd known all the dungeon mechanics, yet let her waste all that time explaining. He had to have done it on purpose. Suchin shrugged. "You never asked." Song Xian rolled her eyes and asked casually. "High schoolers clearing Abyss dungeons are extremely rare. How big was your team back then? Were there casualties?" "I went alone." Song Xian's jaw dropped, stunned speechless in the wind. "Alone? Cleared an Abyss dungeon by himself? Was this guy even human?" The flying ship hummed steadily as it traveled through the clouds. Students on the deck gathered in small groups, chatting among themselves. Suchin leaned against the railing and closed his eyes to rest, listening to the surrounding chatter. Strong winds swept across the deck. Aside from a few students maintaining the ship, the area was mostly empty. Song Xian leaned against the barrier with her arms folded, squinting against the wind. She glanced sideways at Suchin, who stared out at the clouds. "Junior Su, I'll fill you in before we land." Song Xian raised her voice to cut through the wind. "Once you step through the gates of Vault of Heaven Academy, your title of national top scorer becomes worthless. Don't expect teachers or senior students to treat you gently because of your exam results. Suchin looked back at her. There's only one thing that matters in Vault of Heaven. Song Exayan rubbed her thumb and forefinger together in a counting gesture. Credits. I remember you mentioning that before. Suchin shifted into a more comfortable position against the wooden railing and asked casually, what can credits be used for? Buying equipment. Buying gear is the least important use. Song Exayan scoffed. Meals, accommodation, learning skills, reserving advanced training rooms, everything costs credits. If you run out, you'll end up sleeping outdoors with no access to classes. Most importantly, she lowered her voice and leaned closer. Dungeon entry permits. The Academy controls countless private secret realms and dungeons. You need credits to get inside. Some low-level dungeons don't charge entry fees and give a tiny amount of credits on completion, but the payout is barely enough to get by. Suchin pondered this. How do you earn credits? First, you get small amounts from attending your tutor's lectures, but it's never enough for most people. The main way is accepting Academy missions. Song Exayan paused. Escorting you for early enrollment is a mission assigned by the Academic Affairs Office yesterday. I get credits for it. This Abyss dungeon operation counts as an official Academy mission too. High-risk assignments grant generous credit rewards. Clear that dungeon, and you'll have enough credits to live comfortably on campus for a whole month. Suchin nodded and fell quiet. Points earned from the national tournament converted directly into university credits. He wondered if the tens of millions of points he held amounted to much. Time slipped by amid the wind. Roughly 3 hours later, the flying ship slowed down, and the surrounding clouds thinned. We're here. Song Exayan stood straight and pointed forward. Suchin lifted his gaze. An enormous floating island hovered in midair. The underside was shaped like an inverted cone carved with massive, glowing runes. Countless towering buildings spread across the island's surface. At the very center, a brilliant blue pillar of light shot toward the sky, radiating an intimidating magical aura. The flying ship slowly approached the harbor on the floating island's edge. A translucent pale golden barrier blocked its path. Several figures flew out from within the barrier and landed on the deck. Leading them was a young woman clad in silvery white holy armor. She had a sharp, beautiful face and an imposing, dignified aura. Level 25 class, Holy Knight. Suchin scanned her status window. Her name was hidden. She must have an item that concealed personal information. Routine inspection. The woman spoke in a cool tone, sweeping her gaze over Suchin and Song Exayan. Song Exayan quickly put on a friendly smile and pulled a black card from her belt. Senior Liu, I'm Song Exayan from the Assassin Division. I was out handling business and brought back a new student reporting early. The armored woman took the card and swiped it against the gem atop her staff. Beep. Student ID verified. She handed the card back to Song Exayan and turned her attention to Suchin. Suchin passed over his admission letter. The woman studied him for 2 seconds, her gaze lingering on the letter, and her brows twitched faintly. She said nothing in the end and waved her hand. A crack opened in the pale golden barrier. Grant passage. The patrol members followed her as they flew back past the barrier. The flying ship slipped through the gap and docked steadily at the pier. The two walked down the gangway onto solid stone paving. Song Exayan let out a breath and glanced at Suchin. Did you see that, senior? I did. Level 25, hidden class, Holy Knight. Suchin looked over the students bustling around the harbor as he replied casually. Her name is Lu Qingyan. Song Exayan lowered her voice. She's the team leader for our Abyss mission tomorrow. Suchin nodded. Holy Knight, most likely a frontline tank class. Don't let her level fool you. She's incredibly strong. She hasn't leveled faster because she spent time comprehending skills. What's more, she cleared the Tower of Babel a month ago. Admiration flickered across Song Exayan's face as she spoke. What's inside the Tower of Babel? Suchin asked. Commander Lei Jun had mentioned the Tower of Babel a few days prior. Song Exayan looked helpless. Why ask so many questions? You can't enter until your 3rd year anyway. Access only in the 3rd year. Suchin was surprised. That meant waiting another 2 years. He eyed her suspiciously. You don't actually know, do you? Huh. Song Exayan's face flushed. Of course I do. I'm the top student in the Assassin Division. I've just been tied up with missions and haven't had the chance. I could clear it easily if I wanted. Suchin, sure, I get it. Song Exayan's lips twitched. This guy was so infuriating. Suchin dropped their banter and looked ahead toward the main grounds of Vault of Heaven Academy. Amid the clustered buildings, he sensed bursts of concentrated energy. Song Exayan explained. Everyone's practicing skills or sparring. Skills require practice? Yep. After your first class advancement, skills can be upgraded, but practice alone isn't enough. You'll understand once you get assigned a tutor. Suchin sighed. Everyone works so hard. Naturally, fall behind at Vault of Heaven, and you'll never catch up. Flunk out, and you won't get a graduation certificate. Song Xin waved her arm confidently. Come on, I'll take you to academic affairs to finish enrollment and show you around campus. Consider it me repaying my debt from last time. All right. Suchin followed at an unhurried pace.